I was like, Louis, no.
And I've done the same thing. Anyway, I started. It's on us now.
Oh, fuck. Hello.
You're eating garbage from the
You
bed?
just started it as I was talking about that. Hello, everyone. Hello. I'm sorry.
We are
Hello.
professionals here, clearly.
Yes, absolute professionals. I have my dog here. Fucking my dog.
I
Fuck,
actually
whatever.
I actually don't think I can start my camera unless I restart OBS, and I don't know if it's worth turning the stream off and on again just to get my camera on. So hi.
Nobody needs. The people will remember your face. Okay, it's fine.
I was just in Ashy. No, I'm kidding. How's everyone doing today?
Hello.
Today we are doing one that Zorro has been wanting to do for a while, and I think someone also requested doing an indie game matchup. But it's indie game matchups.
Yeah.
If people know me, I always say that indie games are the video games you need to play. Just in general, AAA games have not done it for me in a while. Indie games have always been the source where I'm like, awesome, right? Like, we'll talk about it later. I'm not going to talk about it. Zorro just got me into a game a couple months ago. That's fucking rad. Cavern of Dreams I was talking about on the Discord. How good that fucking game is. Did you guys see that new game that is on Kickstarter where it's like a mix between like the Chow Garden and Kirby Air Ride?
Oh, that's Star
Yeah,
Guardian?
vaguely.
That shit looks so fun. I backed a game called Rollin' Rascals on Kickstarter back in the day. Like, I love indie games.
Yeah. I remember that.
I love indie games.
There are so many good indie games that come out that, have their own small little fandoms, but not all of them can be like the Hollow Knights or the Hades, where like they get like mainstream exposure. So consider this cast. We're gonna have a few of those big names. Just look at the screen right now, but consider this cast just to help highlight these hidden gems that make great impacts that we want more attention on.
And hey, if you want to submit a matchup to us, we announced the themes of each cast on the Discord, and the link to it is in the description. I think it still works. Let me know if it doesn't. Starting with Ori versus the Knight, I will always simp. If my cat is too loud, by the way, I apologize. She's been a needy girl all morning, and I might have to grab a stick with a string on it and play with her while we're doing this cast. So
For a second, I thought you were going to
apologies
say
in
I might have to
advance.
grab a stick and beat her with it.
No, we got a little stick
Okay,
that has like a little feather on it, like it's like a toy. And
Right,
if
no,
I just
I have
dangle
that.
it, she's entertained for about the next 10 hours.
I have cats, I know the feeling. I just was really scared for a second.
But Ori versus Knight, back when my channel was just Pliumph and I was just making death battle videos, so 2 weeks ago, I had Ori and the Knight on my banner with two joke matchups, which was Mr. Clean versus Mr. Bean, and oh god, what was the other one? Oh, it was the Cloud from Mario RPG, Mallow, versus the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. But this one was the only serious one that was up there because Hollow Knight, my brother got me into. And I typically, like, I'm a big Metroid guy, but typically with, like, indie Metroidvanias, I'm like, eh. Like, I played Axiom Verge, if anyone's ever played that game, and I came out of it with, like, being like, alright, I'll just stick to Metroid, whatever. But Hollow Knight was just like, okay, so Metroid I can't even play anymore because it's not as fun as this. Like,
Damn, that is one hell of a compliment.
Bro, Hollow Knight is so good, and I have yet to play Silksong because I just haven't had time. But as soon as I can, I'm playing Silksong. I've heard some things about it that are more on the negative side, but I'm going to give it a shot. Ori is a game where I played Blind Forest back in the day, and I came away from it with like with a thought of like, this is a fucking, if anyone here has played Ori, the first one, it's like, it's a fucking beautiful game. But there are certain mechanics that's like, okay, well, combat could be a little better because all you're really doing is like shooting and blowing things up and throwing projectiles, and that's it. And, like, traversing the world could be a little bit better, whatever. And then Will of the Wisp came out and said, yeah, you're not going to go back to that first game ever again. That first game is nothing compared to Will of the Wisp. Will of the Wisp is almost in contention for being as good as Hollow Knight, in my opinion. It's beautiful. I'm not sure if it came out after, but it definitely feels like it was inspired by Hollow Knight's like combat and maneuverability systems. It's just so fucking good. I could gush about these two games all day.
Yeah. I think Will of the Wisp came out after Hollow Knight release, but not like after the final update for Hollow Knight was out. But definitely enough time for it to kind of at least affect it a little bit.
Yeah, you could definitely tell with how the combat in Will of the Wisp is, how it's not big on like combos, but it's big on like, oh, if you hit certain things in certain ways, your character will move a different way, or an enemy will react to it and move in different ways and stuff like that. Whereas Hollow Knight's like, okay, you hit them from the top, you pogo above them, or sometimes they'll put a shield above them and you have to get around them to hit them with the nail in other ways. Like a lot of Will of the Wisp is kind of like that. Things react differently depending on how you attack them, which I find intriguing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we also appreciate real quick that Silk Song is the only game... I'm stealing this joke from my brother. This is not my joke. Can we appreciate that Silk Song is the only game that has been in development heaven?
Yes.
True.
Yeah.
They had so much fun working on it that they just didn't want to stop. It wasn't that they were having issues. They were just like, oh, but what if we... That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, like, as someone who's been, like, a diehard Hollow Knight fan and having, like, the radio silence all those years, seeing the fandom basically go insane, only to have them just ghost drop Silk Song and just be like, hey, sorry, we lost track of time because we were having too much fun making it. I'm just like, this is the best case scenario for any game like that. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's safe to say that this is one of the most popular pure indie matchups within the community. Like, I can't think of another, like, indie pairing that people have been asking for a while, and I can see why. This is a really cool matchup.
There is another one, but we can talk about that on a later date.
Yeah.
There are other
yeah.
This is one of the best known, for sure. When it comes to indie matchups, this is one of the go-tos.
This is one of my most wanted matchups. I love it to death, and I'm absolutely going to like fight in order to at least help with the episode a little, because like I love it so much.
As long as Death Battle doesn't do it first.
Okay, look, even if Death Battle does it, we're probably still gonna do it, because like
have we stressed that to our audience yet? Because we're a relatively new series. Oh. We do not care if Death Battle does a matchup that we want to do. We are not creator dibs or any of that. We don't operate on that.
My stipulation with doing it is if you have a huge passion for it and a very specific vision, and that is not covered by the Death Battle, like they do it in a completely different way. I think a good example is I don't really watch the series, but Saul was talking about a series called Not Death Battle. They did Nixon versus Manhattan, and so I gave it a shot. And like, again, cannot stress enough that this is not like a confirmed episode we've talked about putting in production, but just like Saul was like, oh, I would have done it differently. I wouldn't have like included the DC stuff. You know, they talked about certain things in a way I wouldn't talk about, like stuff like that. So like, okay, you think you could represent the matchup in a different light? Then I'm down for it. It's just more so it's like if we're gonna do it, it's gonna be like the same thing. Then I'm like, nah, probably not.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to make a version of Crash versus Spyro that's good. Anyway.
Hey.
Insane shade. That match. The episode was decent.
Like to make one that's better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not denying we could probably make a better Crash versus Spyro, but like, the episode was decent. Come on.
It was good for the time.
Someone said Yugi versus Joker, and I kind of do vibe with it a little bit, but I still think Joker is... I think they scaled Yugi to 5-dimensional, and I think Joker is above that, maybe?
Joker is like outer-versal.
Yeah, I think Joker still probably absolutely destroys them, but...
Yeah.
It would be fun.
Although, said Death Battle's Crash vs. Spyro was solid IMO. It's just, I would use a different Spyro. And they kind of combine things in a way where they just kind of... Sparks doesn't talk, meaning it has to be the classic Sparks, but Spyro has all of his abilities from Legends, so it's got to be Legend Spyro. And also Sparks dies immediately, so Spyro should die in one hit. All right, let's go.
They gave the good Spyro versus debating composites. But they stuck with the good Spyro because no one wanted to see bad Spyros.
That's true. I would want to see Bulldog Spyro over Legend. Anyway.
Getting back to the indie games.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Didn't Toys for Bob become indie?
Huh?
Didn't Toys for Bob go independent?
They did.
Yeah, but they don't own the rights to Skylanders.
But just wait. In 2 days, they're going to announce the next Spyro. Anyway, Ori vs. Night, I like it a lot. The stories are intersecting. Monster, or the night is all about destroying the light, and Ori is about surviving the darkness, and I think that's a really cool contrast.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And, I don't think it's a big issue as many people like to say when people talk about Night, but I've heard some people say that, because they're all bugs, a lot of his opponents don't work because they're small, which I don't think is the biggest concern, but, Ori's also just, a small animal, so, you also have that going for it.
When has size ever mattered in a versus competition? If we went by size, wouldn't the Megazord be, 10 times bigger than the fucking Voltron?
Yeah, I don't know,
Kirby versus Boo?
Yeah, Kirby's, 10 inches tall, right?
Yeah, they just sized him up in order to make him, they made him, half the height of Boo, which, I know a lot of people talk about, Melione versus Hornet from Silksong, and, I think for that one, you just make them equal size.
I don't see an issue with sizing people unless the size is part of the matchup, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so,
you wouldn't make Hulk Godzilla's size, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for Hulk versus Godzilla, obviously you have them at different sizes, because it's, the whole appeal is big man is small, is making Hulk a miniature, and he has to fight a kaiju, and that sounds rad as fuck, and it is. But for something like Melione versus Hornet, you wouldn't make Hornet 2 inches tall fighting Melione, because that's not appealing. So you just kind of it's a case by case basis, but I think for most matchups where the size difference isn't the appeal, you just make them equal sizes, honestly.
Yeah.
I was just thinking if Hornet is 10 inches tall and fucking running up Melione, it's the whole battle is just the fucking Hornet's finally crawled up the entire body, he's at the neck and goes to my camera's not on so you can't see me. Goes to use the spear. It's
Shadow of the Colossus.
And then all of a sudden you just hear KO.
No, the climax of the fight is then Melione slapping Hornet off, and then he falls down, and then Melione is going to strike with a sword or whatever, and then Hornet fucking catches it like it's Metal Gear Rising, and then throws Melione into the sky before dashing up and then killing Melione. That's the climax, baby.
All right, we've been on this a while. I want to move on to the next one. We all love it, so. So this next one, the person, fuck off, Paul. No, I'm kidding. For this next one,
then why do you have me here?
I can't stop him anymore. I added some of the promo stuff they did to the oh my god, I can't remember what it is, slideshow. I ended up adding that stuff to the slideshow because I was just look at how cool this looks.
Ooh.
Asgore wants to offer Nebula some tea, and then the next one, I have no idea what I'm even looking at.
I think that's meant to be the language from Amphibia.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what it is.
I can't read that, though. I watched Amphibia once.
Probably
it was
about
good,
Andreas backstabbing a child.
Oh, that was my favorite part.
What's so funny is that if Zoro came in here and just read it, he was like, "Oh yeah, just me." Da, da, da. I'm like, what?
I'm not that big of an.
He won't learn Spanish, but he knows this shit.
Okay. Look, this is why you should have gotten Sherman here. Okay, he's the biggest Amphibia fan we know.
I know, but Zoro is the biggest Asgore versus Andreas fan we know, so I wanted him to talk about it a little bit.
All right, so This is one of my favorite Asgore matchups. I do have others for Andreas, but I think this one is really solid. The basic connections for this ones are both are kings of their kingdoms who, through circumstances, have been kind of led astray off their path into becoming ruling tyrants, kind of going through with a war against another race or world without actually believing it, but believing it's what they need to do for their people. For Asgore, it's to preserve the hope of the monsters for getting out of the underground, and for Andreas, he's being pressured by the core, which is the culmination of Amphibia's greatest minds, basically peer pressuring him into using the Calamity Box to go into other worlds, steer their resources, so that they can just feed off of them and destroy those worlds so that their culture can stay alive.
When you see this, do you think, because I've seen it both ways, do you think one-on-one or army?
I could see both ways, but I would frame it more as one-on-one, because Asgore's army with, they got the Royal Knights and Undyne, which could work well with, the robots, Darcy, but I feel like there's definitely a lot more notable characters in Andreas's army, and Asgore's army is just... You have, the Royal Guards, which, there are only a limited amount of monsters, so if we did army, it would basically be... There aren't enough significant army members in the underground, or just monsters in general, that I think an army match would work, so I'd just go 1v1.
Yeah, I also think 1v1 is just a more interesting one because, I think it's just a lot more interesting because it's that's kind of where most of the appeal comes from. So it's just kind of you narrow in on what the appeal is, and then you just do that because making an army fight just overcomplicates everything.
Yeah, because then you have to dedicate time to Darcy and the Core and Undyne and the Royal Guard, possibly Papyrus, and then you kind of lose the appeal of these kings who are just kind of doubting it. I could totally see a scenario where since Asgore has been characterized as a Frisk figure in the past of dodging, him kind of pulling that with Andreas early on in the fight, initially not in fighting back fully and just dodging around and being hey, I kind of recognize what you're doing, and this is not it, Chief. You don't have to do this. Before finally just summoning the Trident and getting serious. There is a lot of cool parallels you could do with the analyses between these characters, and it would be a really cool fight to see happen.
How does Andreas fight?
Mech suit.
Well, he's got a mech suit that basically allows him to shoot lasers. He's got, even though if we don't make it an army fight, he still can summon some of his robots to help him. He also has a giant laser sword, which, can be really great for going 1v1 with the Trident. And, he also has, a bunch of, high-tech war machines that can cause a lot of collateral damage.
Two things. One, I hate the YouTube's heart that is covering part of my comments, so I can't actually read the top comment because there's a fucking heart in the way. Thanks, YouTube. Very nice. Two, somebody said, why is Fleetway in the thumbnail? Fleetway's from a comic. Because Fleetway is in a matchup on this, and Sonic is a character people like, so I put him on the thumbnail. I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
We clickbaited you. Congratulations, everyone.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Not gonna lie.
We are a small scale. We need all the views we can get.
Look, these animations are expensive, okay?
It's the same thing. Last stream, what was the topic? Good versus evil cast. We put Superman and Scarlet King because of the fan battle shit going on, and we did not talk about Superman versus Scarlet King in that episode at all. So...
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was Saul's idea. That's so funny.
If you have any complaints, join the Discord server and shout at us directly.
Yeah, that's a horrible idea.
Now.
Maybe don't harass us directly. That'd be not cool.
Actually, if you're gonna harass anyone, please harass us and not everyone else.
Well,
exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm a big boy. I can take it.
Ideally, we don't harass anyone at all.
No. This is the versus community. We have to harass people, okay? It's funny.
We harass in a good way. We're like, hey, you. I want you to go fuck yourself, but you're also great. It's like, okay, I don't know how I feel about that. All right.
Santi was saying that was his idea, and he wants the credit for clickbaiting.
Was that? Was it Sherm's? Oh, it was. I wasn't on the call with Saul. I was on the show with Sherm, on the call with Sherm because Saul came in later. Sorry, I must talk to Saul more than everyone because this is the third time I've accidentally thought something was Saul when it was somebody else. No, I really like. Have you guys ever seen the YouTuber Super Eye Patch Wolf?
Yeah.
Love these Riverdale videos.
What I just said reminded me of a part in one of his videos where he's like, "This left me conflicted, almost as conflicted as the one guy who gave me $20 to tell me to go fuck myself." I'm just like, yeah, all right. Anyway, Asgore Andreas, it's a fun matchup. There's another Asgore matchup on here later. I had to add Salt matchup in there. Don't know when it is, but BB Hood versus Mustache Girl.
That girl definitely has a mustache, and I can never take that away from her.
I think you can with mods.
No. What would we call her then? Girl? Like, that's
correct.
So rude.
It's
Look
like
at how they massacred my girl. They unmustached her.
When Spyro Reignited was coming out and they showed off the stage Misty Bog, the fucking the fog wasn't implemented yet. So I was like, if the game comes out and there's no mist, they should just call the stage fucking Bog. Just a Bog.
All right.
Bog, fuck you.
Well,
no, that's the title of the stage. It's Fog, fuck you.
In the Spyro font that's like moving back and forth.
They're really working for that teen rating.
All right, let's go. BB Hood versus Mustache Girl. Zora, go off.
All right. Finally diving into the matchup. The connection between this one is that both of these are characters inspired by Little Red Riding Hood, happen to be blonde, but more importantly, they are young girls who seemingly are good guys on the surface, but when you actually peel away at what their characters are, they are psychopathic and demented girls who are actually some of the biggest villains in their series. BB Hood is framed as a monster hunter, which is great until you realize that she's kind of crazy and loves doing things like shooting people and slitting people's throats and is actually just in it for the money instead of like fighting monsters to save people. And Mustache Girl wants to stop the mafia in her town, which is noble until you realize that she's very demented. She views everyone as a bad guy and will do things like rip out a mafia or members' organs and shove them in a tiny jar. And then when she does get the power to stop them, she basically turns the planet she's on into a living hell.
Wait, you're telling me that the funny Hat in Time game where you're playing as that little girl running around getting all the hourglasses has a moment where one character rips out a guy's organs and shove them in a box?
Jar. But they don't show it, but like after you beat the first boss, the mafia leader is just like an eyeball and like lungs in a jar, and it's like, oh yeah, some girl just ripped out my organs and put it in here. And I'm like, but yeah, that's part of the appeal, is that you look at these characters and they're like, oh, these look fine, but the more you figure out of it about how like BB Hood is apparently like and a cast of like vampires, werewolves, and like the literal demons, she is the most demented and evil one. And then you see the stuff that Mustache Girl does, and you just scream, what the heck? But they're also, like Darkstalkers and Hat in Time, also have like a very goofy sense of humor. So despite how twisted they are, I would frame this as more of a comedic matchup, kind of leaning into like the more Looney Tune inspirations for Darkstalkers, and just like the tongue-in-cheek humor of a Hat in Time, of just having these two go at it in kind of like slapsticky ways as more of their personalities kind of just slowly reveal themselves. And there's a lot you could do with the dynamic with Mustache Girl hopping around, bashing people, using the timepieces in order to do time manipulation stuff, as well as affect the environment. Well, BB Hood's variety of weapons could be used to kind of keep a distance. She brings a literal gun to a flippin' platformer fight. And that basket of hers, when she goes into dark mode, can shoot an infinite amount of rockets like a rocket launcher. So I would just lean into the absurdity of these tiny girls being deadly killers and just lean in all into the chaotic mess, having them basically destroy the cities in order to get at each other.
I have a really love-hate relationship with both Hat in Time and Mustache Girl. And it's nothing against the series' fault. So when the game came out, I bought it on PC, or not when it came out, but like years down the line. When I first played it, I bought it on PC. I played the game. I was like, wow, this is fucking awesome. Hold on. I heard there was DLC. I can't find it anywhere. Oh, it's exclusive to the Switch version. Okay, let me buy the Switch version. That version is ass. It is absolutely horrible. If you're going to buy it, do not buy it on the Switch. And the reason Mustache Girl is part of my quote-unquote hate campaign is because there was a part in the game I got soft locked on. It's the first part of the game where has the glasses on when like pointing at the board that's on the ship, like she's explaining things to you about Mafia City. And my game soft locked, and my Switch crashed, and I couldn't do anything. And so I was like, great, now I have to just sit here and look at this girl until my Switch dies. Fantastic. And she's talking down to me too. Bastard.
Okay, that is odd because I have the Switch version and I have not ran into any performance issues.
That's crazy. Mine crashed on me 3 times and soft locked 5 when I played it.
Oh my gosh! Maybe you just got a scuffed version. I don't know.
If we do this episode, one thing we have to bring up, at least in a side gag in like one of the Mustache Girl's analysis, is we just put like Nils fucking hates this girl, or like it's just a running gag in the episode that you just like fucking despise Mustache Girl and you never give a reason for it. You just hate her.
Yeah, during the entire analysis, Mills is just uncharacteristically like angry at her, and then the co-host is just like, "Bro, what is your chill? Like, bro, chill.
What is your fucking problem?"
Whoever the co-host is fucking just says something, and it's like, and that's my Mustache Girl is blah blah blah, and then it just followed by me being like, I hope she fucking dies. It's like, shh.
No, in the battle, it's revealed that. Because, like, BB Hood is, like, a paid hired. So, like, the reason is in the story is that flippin' Mills put up the hit from Mustache Girl, and that's why the fight happened.
Wait, no, if we ever cover Hat in Time, not just this matchup or even Mustache Girl, any Hat in Time matchup, Nils just has to, like, fucking despise Mustache Girl for no reason. It's that one fucking meme where it's like, I love playing with my toys. I hope you fucking die.
Hey, another fun one.
Another one of the boom. This is the Affleck Goose versus the. Is it Untitled Goose Game? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. It's the Goose from Untitled Goose Game versus the Affleck Duck.
Yep. Affleck Duck.
Yeah. This one, literally, they are just regular ducks and gooses. Like, the Untitled Goose, his whole game is about causing mild inconveniences for people and to steal a bell. And then he goes back to his lake where it's revealed where he's just been stealing bells from the same miniature golf course. And the Affleck Duck, I guess, would be the good guy in this scenario because, you know, he helps people with, like, insurance and whatnot. But that's not the reason why I like this matchup. It's just because it's a duck and a goose that are just relatively normal, and it would be relatively funny to have this for like an April Fool's Day episode, just because it would just be really funny to see these two fight.
This one it's in contention for if we ever do an April Fool's episode, which one we'd do, personally. But how would it work?
What if the fight starts because somebody insured their home with Aflac, and then the Untitled Goose comes in and tries to steal something or mess up the property value, and then the Aflac duck comes in to defend the insured place?
Wait, that's actually a really good... This could be a really good, take on, an unconventional matchup, where it's they're not trying to fight each other, but can the Aflac duck prevent the Untitled Goose from lowering the property value?
That's fucking crazy.
I'm fucking cooking here.
We could frame it like a Looney Tunes skit where it's the Aflac duck makes a trap, and then the Untitled Goose just pretends to be a statue, and as Aflac duck just walks by, the Untitled Goose just immediately turns around, messes up one thing, and then the trap backfires, accidentally destroying something, and then the goose is honk, 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 honk. You could have so many shenanigans with that concept alone.
Honestly, I think this matchup, it's I like it. It's pretty pheasant, and you'd have to be a quack not to like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right.
Listen, the guy said I have to think of some puns on the Discord. I try to.
Nah, fair enough.
You're ducky that I'm not gonna bill you for those puns. Okay.
Hey.
I couldn't think of anything.
Zoro, now you gotta give a duck pun.
My fucking brain shut
Look,
down.
I'm not gonna make one of those foul puns right now. You guys already made enough.
Paul, hit us with
All
one.
right.
Come on, Paul, you got it.
Paul.
Come on.
No pressure.
Come on, we all did it. You gotta do it.
What am I supposed to hit you with?
A duck pun.
This is your entire shtick, Paul. Make it.
Come on.
My stick is puns?
I thought it was.
It's bad show.
I thought your stick was puns.
We need to fucking reread the fucking character doc we have going on.
I don't even know who I am anymore.
You wanna.
Oh, you. Got you. Thank you.
No, you wanna, Zoro.
Yeah. Oh, hey, another one I wanted from the selection.
Okay.
But yeah, this is Lilac versus Spark, the Electric Jester.
Spark is the guy from the Game Freak game, right? The one that came before Pokemon.
What?
Is Spark the one that's from the Game Freak game?
No.
No, I thought Sparks was an indie game. It was inspired by Sonic or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm about to look it up.
Yeah, they're both inspired. Yeah, the main idea of this matchup is that they're both just platformers who were inspired by Sonic.
Yeah. Lilac is inspired by the old Genesis games, 2D Sonic, while Sparks started as a Genesis mix of Kirby and Sonic, but with Sparks 2 and 3, they lean more into the adventure formula of fast 3D stuff.
Yeah.
I admittedly am more into Sparks. I haven't really played much of Lilac's games. But I just think the thematics are strong, and I'd love to cover Sparks in an episode at some point. And this is the mess for both.
I'm looking at Sparks gameplay right now, and I could swear that this is a mod for Forces level.
Yeah, but imagine Sonic Forces, but it's actually good. No, that sounds crazy.
The best one.
Get out! Get out! You lost your Sonic fan card.
Oh my god, I will. Oh my god, aren't you the one who spent fucking $500 to pitch a Sonic matchup to Death Battle?
Yeah, Blaze isn't in Forces.
Oh my god.
Alpha says, "Let me in, Plime. Sparks my goat, yo."
Okay.
I can, if you want, Alpha. I will let you in. Also, thank you for $2. Thank you.
We getting Alpha on here?
If he wants, I'll add him into this.
Oh. Do you want in? Do you want to appear on stream?
Anyway, so tell me in general, what can Sash do?
running around. I think the general. Okay, no, she has like actual powers. She can. Yeah, she's a dragon. I think the general idea for this idea would be like they're both like running through a level, and it's like it's kind of like the Flash versus Quicksilver thing, where it's like they're both like in a race with each other, and they're fighting as they're like running around doing the race and such. I think that's the general idea for it.
Yeah. And Lilac does have more things going on between jumping and running fast. She has a dragon dash. She has this spin move that's kind of like Crash, but slower. Oh, hey.
I'm here for Spark!
Hi, Alpha.
Listen here, you bitches!
Hi, Alpha.
I have to close the YouTube tab so I can hear. Hello, hi.
Your ship is being invaded.
I've invaded your ship. I'm in the researcher hub now. Let's go, baby. Bugsy Cats forever. No, hi.
Hello.
So, I would like to talk a little bit about this matchup because I'm actually a huge Spark the Electric Jester fan. It's probably one of my favorite series of all time. And I don't know which one of you said that it was like Sonic Forces, but I'm going to kill you personally.
That was fine.
No, it wasn't. It was Sherm.
Yeah. Throw him overboard.
I'll just split the difference. I'll kill all of you. No, I'm kidding.
Yes,
I'm already dead.
I'd like to see you fucking try for one.
So this is an episode I actually thought of animating myself for fun on my own spare time. So let me talk a little bit about this. These are two very important fan game legacy games in the Sonic community. Both were created by, I believe, I'm not so sure about Freedom Planet, but it's obviously inspired by Sonic. But prominent Sonic fan game creators with a understanding that came from the Sonic fan base itself, classic places like Sonic Retro and other forums like that worked with a lot of these different like Sonic fan games, whether through art or music and stuff like that, kind of going off and making their own spin and take on Sonic. Spark the Electric Jester probably being the most prominent of those because its creator, like Fepard, created Sonic Before and After the sequel, as well as Sonic Time Twisted, 3 of the most quality Sonic fan games ever. If you're a fan of Sonic fan games, you owe it to yourself to absolutely check them out. But this is a legacy matchup that goes full indie, being from the same scene, trying to tackle the same idea. While Freedom Planet takes a lot more inspiration from kind of the more of the Mobian kind of elements, a little bit of Knights, a lot more of that Sega Saturn era, Genesis kind of stuff. Spark kind of mixes some of the modern Dimps era stuff alongside actually taking a full spin into 3D. And I have to recommend Spark the Electric Jester 3, which is a 3D game with my entire heart. You can skip 2, it's mid. But honest to God, this matchup is super interesting because it pits 2 legacy characters together, 2 different interpretations of what Sonic the Hedgehog truly is. And I think that's what makes this fight so interesting. Do they have as many similarities as something else, like maybe Sonic versus Flash? I'd actually say not necessarily, but I think it's just a fun conversation to have, and I do think that this is something that on a show like Nebula Theatre absolutely can deserve its time in the limelight, and at the very least will be a lot of fun to animate.
Yep.
So we already have our animator. What does Jester do? As in, like what does Jester do in terms of like combat wise?
A lot of different stuff, actually. So Spark has a lot of different stuff, and I'm going to try to back away from a lot of it from spoilers, but Spark basically has a system. You mentioned it being similar to kind of Kirby earlier, and that's relatively correct. Spark has a bunch of different power-ups. He has a surfboard, he has an electric power, he has a bunch of different stuff that he can go back and forth between, but probably one of the most important things in his arsenal is his parry. The parry system is extremely important in Spark the Electric Jester. Spark has this ability to kind of like press a button and you block and attack and kind of go through it. Using that parry is probably the most important part of his asset. But as for different like attacks and effects he has, it depends on the game, but genuinely his main stuff is he has his electric attack, he has his surfboard, and he has a bunch of other stuff that I can kind of get up here on the side for you and talk a little bit about. But he also has a bunch of other stuff, including different forms and stuff that, again, I really highly recommend you play these games. You can get them done in like 2 days, so I don't want to spoil anything because they do genuinely have plot relevance. But what's really, really interesting about a Spark, all I'm going to say is that Gogeta exists in the Spark universe, and that's as far as I'm going to say further. He's a really interesting character, and the story actually takes a very almost Evangelion-ish turn, like you would not expect from a series about a guy who's just kind of a clown that gets fired from the circus, basically. It's not really what happens, but it's the best way to put it.
Jesus.
His entire shtick is that he got replaced by a robot, and the base plot is just him trying to get a job and get paid.
Yep.
And in the third game, it's like, hey, I still didn't get paid, so now I'm gonna go try and get my paycheck finally.
Yeah, exactly. And then everything happens. I don't remember if it's called a parry. I called it a parry. I see it in the chat. I don't know if it's really much of a parry. I don't really know what to call it.
It escalates really quickly.
It absolutely does this. It escalates violently quickly. You're like, surprise, dipshit! You're like, where the fuck did all of that come from?
It shouldn't work, but it does, and I love it.
A small gray child is God, and then everything explodes, and I don't know what happens after that. There's a lot of computers. None of what I said is wrong.
Wow.
Suddenly, Sash versus Shantae is going a little bit further down on my list.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, when Alpha gets this is just how Alpha is when he gets passionate. He sent me full voice clips before of being like, all right, here's my idea.
Yeah, and I think, and one of those is an episode that I pitched. I wrote a little script for it, and is now, I won't spoil it, obviously, but it's on the docket.
For now, yeah.
So,
yeah,
for now.
For now.
No, Spark Lilac is
mysterious.
Really
all right, so all I know about Lilac so far is that she runs. Can somebody tell me what Lilac does other than running? Because there's gotta be
turn
more.
into a dragon.
Yeah, I was going into it a little bit earlier. She does have some other things going on for her. She has her Dragon Dash, which basically is like, it's kind of like a spin dash, but instead of like rolling around, she kind of like rolls, charge, and then she like does this Dragon Dash forward that like destroys stuff. She also has like a glide move where she spins around, and she can also spin around too, like Crash Bandicoot. I'm not too familiar with the games, but I know she has. Go ahead, Alpha.
I'm kind of familiar. So basically, I know the plot of the first one. I don't know what happens in the second one. But Freedom Planet, like I looked it up really quickly to make sure, started as its own Sonic fan game, which I actually believe took place in the Archieverse, which is why a lot of this stuff might feel familiar to that kind of era. But basically, the entire idea of the game is that Sash, along with their friends, fight to stop this guy named Lord Brevin from stealing the Kingdom Stone, which is like this super powerful fucking MacGuffin. And the entire game is basically, I mean, it kind of goes from there, but her main moves are, of course, her spin attack, her ability to keep up momentum, and a bunch of other stuff like that. She's a platforming character like Sonic. She does have a few other moves, but I don't remember them off the top of my head, truth be told. I liked Freedom Planet. It wasn't my favorite. I did beat it, but it didn't really stick with me like Flash did. Flash Spark did. Though, important point, their voice actor is Don M. Bennett, the voice of Igus in Persona 3.
Oh.
Ooh, nice.
Yep, and they also are Kale in Dragon Ball Super, so they've got a really cool voice actress. But their moveset, they can whip their hair like Shantae, which is probably where that matchup comes from. They have a boost mechanic, kind of like, boost games, Sonic Advance, Sonic Rush onwards. They have a rising slash, which is just exactly what it sounds like. It's like a Shoryuken movement. They also have the Dragon Cyclone, which is that spin that you were speaking about.
Yeah. So Lilac is definitely more of a straightforward character as far as like combat concerns. Well, Spark has a bit more versatility to him, but I think the more appeal is going to be like the speed and momentum aspect of how these two like maneuver around more than like actual like. This wouldn't be a matchup where they would just like stand in one place for a while and throw punches at each other. It'd be like running all over the place, doing like collides here and there.
Yeah, that's why I said something similar to like Flash versus Quicksilver we could do for this, because like then we could have them both like trying to like beat the other to like the finish line or whatever, because they like know each other or whatever, and like, hey, you want to race? And it's like, okay, sure. And then they're just like racing, and then you can see them trying to use their abilities and different powers in order to try and like get a leg up on the other throughout the entire thing. And like, I don't know if they would taunt the other, but like definitely, like, if one is in the lead and they taunt the other and then the other gets mad, that would be fun.
Oh, Spark would. Spark's a fucking asshole. Spark is like, Spark's the little shit. Spark is like,
so here's the thing about the robot that takes his job. it doesn't know any better, and it kind of feels bad. And he's just like, "Fuck you, fuck you, I hate you." And Fark's like, "Dude, listen, man, I'm just doing that right now." He's just like, "You whore, you even look like me." You know why his name is Fark? Because he goes, "You're a fake Spark. Your name is Fark forever now." And he goes, "I guess I'm Fark now."
Oh my god,
that is the whole reason.
He's an asshole. I love him.
He's genuinely just a little shit. I love him so much.
I would want to be able to represent. It's important to note that we're not constricted to death or fights in the show. So if we wanted to make this more like look at it from a different angle, other than who punches the best, it's definitely something we could do. I would want to be able to animate her dragon form. Not sure how that would work in any setting. Is it like a big dragon?
No, like her species is water dragon.
Yep. So do they actually transform, or is it kind of just like, I have abilities?
I think it's mostly just abilities. I haven't played the game, so maybe she gets like an equivalent to Supersonic that's more dragon-y. I know she gets older in the second one, so she gets a bit taller, but I don't think she gets like a dragon transformation. She can use like her hair as like whips and tendrils. And fun fact, despite being a water dragon, she can still drown because she has a birth defect that makes it so she can't hold her breath as long as others.
Damn.
I was gonna ask if there was a dragon. I was about to ask Alpha, who animated Slifer in that fight, if she has a dragon form. I'd be like, okay, who did that?
That'd be Dave. Dave animated that.
Oh, Dave Fisher did that.
Dave Fisher, yeah, that's Dave.
We could get him if we wanted to make Plaza at some point.
I could do it.
Alpha is very.
He has the connection.
I'm right here.
I was just saying if you wanted Dave specifically to do a dragon because you mentioned it.
Nah, I want money.
All right.
Wait! I just realized something. Wait, guys! Fuck! I just realized something.
Yeah,
Spark is a little shit, and he's an electric jester. Sash is a water dragon. Throughout the entire fight, he's talking shit like electricity beats water, bitch. Like he's just riding that the entire time.
Pokemon.
Absolutely. No, that is exactly what he'd be like. I'll have you know, electricity beats water. Where did you learn that? Video games.
We've been on this one for a little bit. I'm gonna move on. Are you sticking with us, Alpha?
Alrighty. Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay.
Yeah, fuck it.
We got
Yo! Oh!
Okay. All right.
That was a reaction.
All right.
What can I say? I die hard. Like, look at this shit. This is good.
Did you just reference Sonic?
What can I say? I die hard.
Fuck. Oh no, we have another Sonic fan in here. We already have.
I came in during Lilac versus Spark. What did you think I was? I mean, I would say Mega Man fan, but I'm also one of those.
Every single person in this
was
is a Sonic fan.
This was a Paul suggestion, so I want to have Paul talk about it a little bit.
Oh yeah, I did submit this. This is technically not my favorite for Cuphead, but more importantly, it's my favorite for the show to do. And I say that because of how much of attachment I have to Epic Mickey. The basic idea of Cuphead versus Epic Mickey is, of course, the vintage cartoon aesthetic, but more importantly, and what I really like, is how it ties into morality. And while both games themselves really don't do much with the concept of choose your path, good ending and bad ending and all that, that is still a fundamental piece of the characters. In this case, the epic version of Mickey and his mischievousness leading to the disaster of Wasteland and Cuphead's need in the casino. So at face value, I think it has some really strong connections there for the mistakes they made and trying to correct it for a world that they didn't expect to care about so much. But then for the matchup, I do really like the idea of including Mugman and Oswald because they are genuinely both brothers. And it adds a lot more to the dynamic in general. You have the more abrasiveness of Oswald playing off of Cuphead, while the more cautiousness of Mugman plays off of Mickey. So you kind of get a fun contrast in who is interacting with who there. And there's even more in how they interact with each other directly. I think it has a lot of great potential. There's some very fun story beats. Epic Mickey has a lot of great content to go over. I'm an absolute shill for how much of a series means to me, and the deleted scenes and unused content and the like, and how good a franchise it was that failed, and all that. It's very special to me. And Cuphead is a game that personally changed my life, so this is a very personal one to me, and I would love to bring it to life on the show.
How do we, and I can ask everyone, how do we envision this as looking? Are we talking 3D like Epic Mickey? Are we talking hand-drawn like Cuphead? Or are we talking a mix?
I mean, we could do something where, I mean, like, if we eventually get the budget to do, like, a hand-drawn, like, we get the budget and talent to do a hand-drawn episode, like, I'd personally really like to see this hand-drawn, and we could kind of like play the entire thing like an old 1930s cartoon. Like that's kind of like the style that like the story is kind of like trying to enforce on it, but like Cuphead, Mugman, Mickey, and Oswald are constantly like breaking the stereotypes throughout it. So like it's kind of like they're breaking the bounds of the cartoon itself throughout the fight.
Absolutely.
You go.
There's an awesome thing in the Cuphead comics that I learned about recently that I found is that Cuphead can directly weaponize his word balloons. Like when he yells at someone aggressively enough, it's like getting punched in the face by the word balloon itself. So we have little things like that that would really play well into a fight like this.
So
yeah, like
yeah, Alpha, go ahead.
You can go, Alpha.
As an animator in this situation, I wanted to pipe in on this because I think that hand-drawn's great, and I love hand-drawn, and I absolutely get the Bendy Cuphead DBX was probably one of the best animations Death Battle's ever put out. But what I think is really interesting about this, and something we need to put a little bit of focus on, is that this is that is a modern cartoon in a modern age without not using digital technique, using like cell animation. And then the classic animation characters of Mickey and Oswald, like some of the original cartoon characters, rendered out in 3D. This feels like a fight that should be switching between dimensions. This feels like a fight that needs to be half hand-drawn, half 3D, to me.
That's kind of what I was thinking, like how Ash Yugi had certain shots that were like, instead of being full 3D models, they were drawn, or I think it's just drawn, actually. I don't think you guys sprayed it out or anything.
Oh yeah, like the lasers for on the dragon guy, those were hand drawn, if I remember correctly.
No, they weren't. Nope, wrong.
Oh,
I did that. Those are mine. Those are my lasers.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay. That's why I was so confident. I was like, incorrect. I had to sit there and make that shit. No,
okay.
I did
All
that.
right, I'm sorry, Mr. Project Alpha. Will you ever forgive me?
I'm kidding.
I could have sworn those were hand drawn. But like,
gods, execute this man immediately.
no, please, I'm too valuable for the show. I'm like the second most important researcher.
Alpha,
please.
Alpha, I fully understand your idea and I agree with you. Something that really helps with that concept is how Epic Mickey works in that he gets dragged through like the ink and the inkwell into Wasteland.
Exactly.
Is how you can directly have Cuphead, the four of them accidentally go from the Inkwell Isles to Wasteland, and that's how you get a new animation change. They physically ended up in a different place, so it justifies a lot better than just variety.
Yeah.
You want to talk Epic Mickey? I got something for you on that. Remember that Cuphead is canonically a cartoon, and they have somewhat awareness of that. What does that mean for the ink with Epic Mickey? Can he fuck with their world?
Oh, that's a great question because of how
right?
That's another thing I love about this, how their physiologies physically interact with each other, both how Cuphead manages it and then how the paint and thinner mechanics of Epic Mickey work, which really makes a huge difference. And then another reason I like this so much is
all the time. Yeah.
And then here's reason number 50 that this works so well for them. It directly plays into Cuphead's soul, because of how hearts work in Epic Mickey and giving your soul to someone. So it directly applies to both of them and adds even more to the tension of it, of figuring that out between them, what affects it, what doesn't.
Yeah, honestly, like, the more I hear about this, I think, because obviously Bendy has a really popular, Cuphead has a really popular opponent with, like, Bendy, and I think, if Death Battle were to do something, they'd probably do that. So I think when it comes to like a Nebula Theatre fight, this would be a really cool one just because The worlds are really similar. I like how they both harken to old animation while putting twists on it. You know, we just discussed how it could just play with both the conventions of animation and their own world's physics. Like, this is a really cool 2v2 fight.
Yep.
Yeah, I was thinking something where, like, if we do, like, switch between, like, a hand-drawn into 3D, we could have a joke where, like, there's, like, a lot of Cuphead models I've seen, they, like, do not look that good. So then we could have a joke where, like, they're falling into Wasteland. Cuphead and Mugman both look over at each other, and they're just in shock. And then Cuphead says something like, "You're not looking so hot," or like, "You look kind of ugly, Mugman," because playing into that kind of asshole-ish personality from the cartoons.
Yeah. In this situation, I would absolutely be making depending on what models. First off, we'd have to ask for access for any time we were using unofficial models. But otherwise, what I would probably do is I would make a 3D model of Cuphead and Mugman, and what I would do with it specifically is I would probably work with it's kind of like what we did on Ash Yugi, where like you could see like elements being put onto. Gengar's a great example. Gengar's face is 2D in Ash Yugi, so we would probably be doing a lot of facial animation in 2D with Cuphead and Mugman to kind of keep their shape. So I think that's how we would probably handle that.
So
yeah, I can see that.
What I'm hearing is a lot of the 3D Cuphead and Mugman models are a couple of ugly mugs.
We got past that.
Execute this man.
We don't have to make the puns anymore. We're not bound to that, Sora. You're better than this.
Worth it!
Yeah. You could say that was the last straw.
I'm gonna fucking kill every person in this room. I'm going to fucking pull out.
Oh, come on. Don't lose your head.
I think Dark Lord's patience is starting to wear a little thin. Maybe a little thinner.
Kill both of you in your sleep.
That would be very epic of you.
No, you don't.
Yes, when the puns start coming out, your house. I think we have to.
All things considered, I'm just glad I could paint a picture
Press the
on
button,
this.
get us out of
It's
here.
very special to me, and I think it
Paint
works
us a
great.
new picture. Why is he smiling like that?
Okay, he's fucking Loki.
What? That is dubious in nature. I do not trust that man near anything ever.
Yeah, he's the god of mischief and lies. Why the fuck would you ever believe him?
Watch out, he's about to make a pun.
That does not look. That looks like the god of some other stuff. I'm not a fan of. What are you doing with those?
He is also the god of stories. Alright, but this is Loki versus Beatrice, Marvel versus Yumi Neko. So, like, base connections, two mischievous masters of the magic arts who are defined by, like, their many webs of identities, histories, and a lot of lies created by cycles of a rivalry, of betrayal, redemption, with arrogant, flamboyant personalities, and they do a lot of pranks. There's a lot more to this. There's actually a lot of connections, but I can't get into that now. But basically, this is a really fucking cool matchup. Basically, this is like one of the... Okay, this is a really hard matchup to explain, but, like, I'm going to try my best. So, Loki is the god of mischief, lies, and stories. So, like, he's constantly pulling pranks. He's a very powerful Asgardian god and rejected frost giant. And Beatrice is the golden witch from Yumi Neko. Basically, both of these guys, they can basically just do fucking anything. I'm going to be real. Like, there's so much animation potential with this because, like, they can both just warp reality, manipulate a concept, manipulate the very ideas of stories itself, create illusions, constantly be, like, pulling pranks and such. They can basically just do anything they want, and I really love this idea because it's kind of like Madara versus Aizen in the sense where, like, both would be constantly, like, putting up illusions and, like, trying to trick the other. But, like, you get to push the idea so much further than, like, Madara versus Aizen because, like, the main point of Yumi Neko is it's, like, a murder mystery story that deconstructs the very idea of murder mystery. And Loki is the god of mischief, lies, and stories. So then, like, the entire fight would be them just constantly, like, creating, like, big things. But then, like, it's revealed, oh, that was just an illusion, or that was just a false narrative that they created. And the entire fight is just constantly swapping in between, like, illusions that the other had put up in order to continuously get an upper hand over the other. And like, you're constantly switching in between all of this. Like, you never really know what is truly happening because these two are constantly just creating new illusions or just doing new magic until eventually, like, it gets to the climax and both just get, like, fucking sick of the other, and Beatrice, like, enforces the truth on, like, reality, and Loki uses, like, some like powers of his
bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah, in order just to, like, destroy any and all illusions that are up. And then it's just, like, basically both are just fighting for real. No more illusions, no more tricks. They're fighting. And then eventually, like, the final part is one of them is, like, on death's door and about to die. The winner is gloating because, like, these two are also, like, massive fucking gloaters. They are going to, like, fucking make sure you know that you have lost to them. And then in the moment where they're, like, expressing their victory, you get the loser would reveal one last trick up their sleeve, and then reveal, like, this guy, the person who they were fighting, was just a clone, and then, like, a backstab, finally, like, killing the other, getting through, like, all of the immortalities and, like, bullshit that both have been doing the entire fight. Like,
so I'm gonna ask a question. So
yeah.
When I hear fights where it's like, okay, both of them can do essentially anything they want, where may be true, I'm more interested in how they typically fight, right? Like, what do they normally do? Because you can fall into a pit with just anything and just be like, okay, I'll just write anything happening. But in reality, there is certain things they prefer to do over their other abilities they maybe used once in a comic series for Loki, for instance, right?
Yeah, exactly. Basically, like, the main thing that both would be doing throughout the entire fight is, like, doing illusions, because the main plot of Yumi Neko is it's a murder mystery where, like, the main character, Battler, doesn't believe in witches, and then all of a sudden Beatrice appears, and then it's like, okay, you're given these murder mysteries, now you have to, like, prove that magic was not involved in these murders. That's, like, the start of Yumi Neko. So then, like, she's a very big, like, illusioner. She's constantly playing mind games. Like, the main plot of Yumi Neko is it's basically like a chess match between Battler and Beatrice, constantly trying to one-up the other. And Loki focuses a lot on, like, plans, illusions, like, he's constantly, like, scheming. So this would less so be a fight where it's, like, two gods who can do anything, just throwing whatever they have at each other, and more so two people playing mind games with the other, just trying to, like, get the upper hand using all their powers, their illusions. And, like, a big thing about Yumi Neko is, like, it's a very big deconstruction of stories itself. Well, Loki is the god of stories, so, like, this would not only... So, like, throughout the fight, they would also be manipulating the narrative of, like, the episode itself in order to make it go their way. Like, this is not just, like, they're throwing whatever they have. This is a mind game between two unbelievably powerful gods who can basically do anything.
Okay. So, So here's the thing with this, right? First off, I totally see the potential in this. Absolutely. It sounds like literally anything can happen.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of my holdup with this one. So this sounds like an interesting episode, but it sounds like it's going to take a lot of budget and a lot of planning to do absolutely properly.
Yeah.
Kind of something that kind of holds me back from it personally. Now, before I say anything else, I fucking love the Yumi Neko fighting game. I think it's one of the funniest fucking things of all. Talking about Dave earlier, I believe it was Dave that was explaining it to me while we were working on Ash Yugi, how it's fucking like double down system or whatever works. That shit's I love it. It's why the fuck does that game exist? So I want to use a Yumi Neko character. Absolutely. I think that's wonderful. I think the problem with an episode like this is where you go, it's so open-ended, you can do anything, is that is as much a detriment as it is an advantage. Because if we can do anything, are we doing the right thing? And furthermore, is our audience going to be able to follow it if we truly do it properly? And I think the answer is probably not. Because it sounds like these characters are high-level motherfucking manipulators. I look at episodes like Zatanna versus Scarlet Witch, where it's like, they got close, but even sometimes you have a hard time following that. And that's probably lower than what we would probably, sounds like we'd be aiming to do here. You almost have to nerf these characters in animation in order and show one specific path with a very specific through line, which I can see, because if Loki's the god of stories and it's all about a murder mystery, the idea of them talking about, I believe we started here, and then like the entire thing is them narrating over how they get to the final part, I think that would be a great way to do it, because it's like, well, actually, we were on a train. Oh, what cabin were we in? I think we were in the dining hall. No, we were simply in this. And them going back and forth and having this fake politeness to each other, because if I understand the character Beatrice, that's kind of how they speak, as well as Loki could absolutely match. And having
they very talk down to a lot of people.
They are talking to each other and narrating it as we see the fight happening. I could see that being a very nice through line for how the narrative could actually work, and a very unique way to handle the battle. The only problem is, a fuck ton, as an animator, that's a fuck ton of assets to do properly. This would be an expensive episode.
Yeah.
You'd almost have to do something hand-drawn just so that you don't have to make like a lot of sprites or 3D.
That's even more expensive.
That's even more expensive,
3D backgrounds, 2D sprites would be the way to go about this. No doubt in my mind. And that's something we can do. That's something we can do. But I think I don't want to say no to this battle. I'm not writing it off. But what I am saying is that this would have to be a finale or something like that. And you guys would really have to think about if you want to put this one on there, because it is going to be expensive.
Yeah, I'll admit, this is definitely like, for an episode like this, we would definitely have to like have a very solid idea going in, know exactly what we're going to be doing, have like laser focused vision on like exactly what's going to happen, considering how like absurd both characters are and can get. But like, I feel like no matter what Loki or Beatrice matchup you do, you're always going to have to be locked into like, you have to understand like what's going to happen, because like, yeah, like Loki, this is just what they do. That's their main shtick. So you have to understand both of this. But I feel like it's possible to do this. We just need to get like the right writers in this room and like know exactly what they're going to do. Make sure we have like a lot of good things.
Oh,
especially,
don't get me wrong, it's possible. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I think I just want to make sure we're on the same page here. Is it I hate to say it like this, but we are a show. Is it profitable? You know, this would be one of our most expensive episodes, and while Loki might bring in some views, the MCU's kind of dying, and I think Yumi Neko is interesting. I learned about it like 3 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, from what I've seen, there's like a lot of underground Yumi Neko fans. Like they don't come out of the shadows to say like, oh yes, Yumi Neko's peak and you gotta play it. They don't do that a lot, but like if you ever mention Yumi Neko around them, they're gonna be like, oh, you gotta play the game, or like, because like I've seen a lot of like sleeper Yumi Neko fans around to say like.
So it's the difference between mainstream and not mainstream. You can get underground people that will flock to you like immediately.
But they'll be here once.
Yeah, and they'll be here once. Whereas more mainstream stuff, people are going to be like, oh, dude, I want to go back and see. Well, I'll use Loki as an example because he's kind of mainstream right now. One thing I will say in terms of Yumi Neko in general, and I might make this a topic for a cast in the future, is that both Yumi Neko and Toho are two series that I'm on pretty good terms with all of the animators I work with, and they've talked a lot about wanting to do a matchup with the series. It's just a matter of which ones, right? Beatrice has been talked about before, and I will say even Edgy Iggit, if any of y'all know who that is, Edgy Iggit was like, I would love to do Beatrice, but I don't know how you would do her without being an entire headache, right? Like,
yeah, and
it's definitely something we're looking at.
Yeah, like, and I know Saul has talked a lot about doing a Loki episode, but he was kind of like, I want to do Loki, but I don't really like know what matchup I want to do for him. So then I kind of like looked at a bunch of different Loki matchups, because like I want to because like I'm also interested in covering Loki. Like I think it's absurd Death Metal hasn't done a Loki episode yet. So like I looked into a ton of Loki matchups, and I think this is like I thought this was his best, and then like
I agree.
Looking more,
yes.
Yeah, and looking more into it for this cast, I was like, oh shit, this is actually just like perfect. I would love to cover this, but I understand this is a massive headache that we would need to like know exactly what we need to do in order to go in, have a very solid idea. Like I like your idea, Alpha, of like having both narrate the fight in order to explain how they got to that point in order to like help with like a better through line. But yeah, this is definitely a very complicated episode, especially research-wise, since like Yumi Neko is like 100 hours of a visual novel, and Loki has like 2,000 comic appearances. So like research-wise, we need to be on top. Writing-wise, we need to be on top. Everything like we need to be on our A game for every single step of this, like making the episode process. But like I think we do have the skills to do it, but like we probably have to wait a bit to make sure that we like are stable enough to do this. But like
let me be clear. You have the people to do this.
A little
bit for this,
just so that we get a bit more experience before we tackle something like this. But I definitely believe it's something that we could accomplish at some point down the line.
Yeah, I fucking love you, Alpha. I can hear it in your voice as soon as they're like, "Oh, we need the people to do this." He's like, "You got us, motherfucker."
Yeah, I have to be real. Your team is incredible. You guys have an incredible team of animators here, and it's totally possible. All of what you said is totally possible. What I worry about and what I want to make it clear here is this would be your guys' core storm. Like, I don't want to be like it's an episode that you care about, but even you're like, oh, we have underground people like that. Underground people don't show up. Blade and Buffy have huge underground communities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That episode did well, but like I guess that's kind of my point. We're not in a place as this show to, if we're going to keep this up, it's good to have bigger names on here for now. But that being said, if this is a passion project episode truly for you, like this is the one you want to do on the show, if nothing else, this is a good one. This is a good hill to die on. That's what I would say.
Yeah, like this is not my hill to die on yet. I need to learn more about Yumi Neko and Beatrice as a whole, as well as like probably read some more Loki comics. But like genuinely, from everything I've heard about this matchup, it sounds super cool. There's definitely passion.
It sounds fun.
Yeah, there's definitely passion for at least Loki with Saul, because like I've talked with him about like Loki, and he legitimately said he would read like 2,000 Loki comics for this episode. So like,
I believe it. I can see the fight in my head. It starts off black, and it's like, would you like to begin or shall I? Oh, I insist after you. Well, I believe we started on a train. Yes, it was a train. Do you remember what? And you see them fighting, and like the train. It's like, do you remember what cart we were in? Was it the main cart? And you see like the background keep changing. No, I believe it was the dining hall. Yes, because you hit me with that frying pan. And then it like cuts to Loki, gets back, and that's how the whole fight goes.
Yeah, like, and definitely you can see them like trying to manipulate the narrative from like later on in order to try and like say the fight was going in their favor. And like reveal different illusions. Like this is definitely like this is definitely something. This is really cool. I love this matchup. We could definitely make something really good with this, but it would be complicated as hell, and we would need like a solid ass team for this one.
Oh yeah, no, but it's possible. I can see it in my head again. I like a moment where like Loki grabs Beatrice by the throat, and then I had you. Nearly had you. That is right. You are still here, aren't you? And then the fight keeps going. Like it really is just them trying to manipulate, and it's like, it sounds like such a pleasant conversation, but it keeps ramping up in intensity until they get to the point where they are now, and then you see them talking.
Yeah, and this would definitely be like a really pretty matchup as well, because like Beatrice, she has like a lot of motifs of like golden butterflies flying around, so like you could have those be appearing throughout it, and like Marvel magic and like Bifrost effects throughout it. Like there's definitely a lot you can do, and both of these characters are really interesting. Like I need to learn more about Beatrice, but like from what I've read about her, she sounds like a super interesting character. And Loki, he's a super fun character as well. So like really interesting matchup, a lot of really good connections, a lot of really good story potential. It's just a lot, and we would need like the solid idea as you gave it.
It would be a sprite. I would totally be a sprite episode with maybe some hand-drawn elements done in 3D. I think it should take place likely on a train, because I know For some reason, I keep going back to a train because it's a classic murder mystery setting. The Loki series had him on a train for a little while, and I feel like both of their designs lend themselves to a train, and a train allows them to do all sorts of different stuff. I think keeping it confined to there is a good idea too, because it's like, oh well, I want to do this, this, and this, and this, and this. The problem with that is that if you keep the train in space, then it's as absurd as you fucking need it to be, and we don't need to like make 17 new assets. Also, we can break the train at some point.
Yeah, exactly. But like the final part of the fight would definitely have to be in like some wooden mansion in the forest, because like that's a big thing with Beatrice. She's like the Golden Witch in a manor on the forest, if I remember correctly. Kind of a bit like the princess from Slay the Princess, if you remember that.
What if the train is like on a track? It zooms out and it reveals that the train is on a track inside of the mansion. And
it was a toy all this time. They were just looking over it
and they zoom out, and it's both Loki and Beatrice sitting there staring each other down in chairs comfortably. They are literally, and then you like zoom out at the mansion, and the mansion like has this like 2 barriers around it. So they're just sitting there pleasantly. They're not even doing anything. But like the outside forces around the mansion are crushing the sides of the mansion, and whichever side of the mansion like gets crushed first is the one that loses.
Oh yeah, that's so cool.
So it's like a calm demeanor until the very end.
Yeah, until the very end, where maybe the ceiling keeps getting closer, it like keeps getting smaller, and then you see it crush. And I like the idea of the episode starting like completely screen black. So it's like, shall I start or you? And then it starts. So that way you bring that back as a parallel in the end. So when the other half of the house gets crushed, I'm imagining Beatrice, it's just a split view. You see the house get crushed, and then half the screen is black, and then you see Loki sip his tea and go, the end.
That's kind of cute, though. We've been on this one a little bit now, so I'm about to move on. But I do think it's interesting. It's not one that's immediately on the docket, but it is interesting. I will say, I hear a lot of people say this, and I don't... Granted, the only person I know that's worked on Death Battle so far is Alpha. But I don't like the idea of saying, well, Death Battle's going to do this one, so... Because I feel like at this point in their history, of course, they're going to do, like, popular matchups, but they have a lot of ones that aren't popular that they do just because the team's passionate about it, you know? Like, even though Ash versus Yugi is, like, a very popular matchup, part of the reason it, like, first of all, ended up so good is because, I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's, like, Origin's love child. Right, like it's something that he's
literally learned Blender in the span of 3 months in order to animate that.
By love child, I mean it's like an idea that he really, really wanted to do. Is what I mean by love child.
It was something extremely important to my good friend.
Yeah, that's what I mean more than anything.
Yeah.
But I want to make this abundantly clear because this is something that became important to me and is important to everybody on the Death Battle team. An episode is not anybody's love child. This is not the Luis episode. This is not the David episode.
Yeah.
These people put their hearts and souls into them, but it is a team. It is a collaborative effort, and we don't get shit done without each other. So I that was the only thing I paused on because I want to make it abundantly clear. The whole team has passion behind that stuff. Again, Dave was so excited to animate Charizard like that and Slifer and all of that stuff. We put our hearts and souls into that. But yes, that's not. But that saying, oh, the only reason this episode turned so good out was David. David put his heart and soul to it, and part of the reason the episode did turn out well is because of David, but it would have been fine without David. That being said, it's great that he was there, and he definitely brought an element to it that of passion and person that, you know, other people might have had, but not in the same extent as David, who loved Ash Yugi, and we planned to do it back on our other show, Dual Zone, with Ben Jaden. That was one of the episodes that we planned to do at one point.
Yeah, more so what I just meant was that Origin had been, like, very vocal about, like, oh, I really want to do this. This is something that would be important to me. Like, more vocally than I think I've heard David or anyone else talk about it, which is why I used Origin as the example. Like, they didn't do
David
it
is
because...
Origin. Sorry, David is Origin's name is David. I call him David because I knew him first. So
sorry, David Fisher is also on the project, and I assumed you were talking about
we just call him Dave. We just call him Dave. He's Dave.
Hey, Dave, can you animate this part of the thing?
Dave just came in and was like, I'm doing this now. And we were like, okay, Dave.
Okay.
But that's more what I meant. I didn't mean to, like, devalue anyone else's work. Because it is, like, even with what we made with Kara X, you can see everyone's unique style kind of, like
absolutely.
really, really show. Luz was very, kind of a little bit chaotic, but had such high energy. Edgy was probably had the best camera work in the whole episode. Fucking the energy behind Sun's, like, just seeing Knuckles and, like, how he moves, like, so fluently. Like, everyone had a part in making the episode great.
Yeah, episodes don't work without all the animators, and that's just something I really want to put out there, because people call things all the time like, this is the Torian episode, the Luis episode, and sometimes they are. Zack Attack is a scary motherfucker who animates episodes solo sometimes, and he scares me. But that's not the point. The point is, even on episodes that somebody animates solo, there's sprite artists, there's a bunch of other stuff like that. So calling something a one person's episode, I think, is a disservice, and that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, yes. It's kind of how I feel about when somebody's like, look at how talented so and so person is, because I hate saying it's talent when there's like thousands of hours spent into making yourself good. Instead of talent, say the word skill, please, because it's like, look at how fucking skilled this guy is. Anyway, has anyone here other than Dark Lord played what is it called, in Stars in Time and Slay the Princess?
Neither of these fucking games. No, sorry.
Nope.
All right, Dark Lord, explain.
Right. Okay, all right, baby, let's go. Okay, so I know we were talking about how no one episode is going to be any one guy's passion project. This is my passion project. This is my episode. This is my thing.
No, I mean, that's fair. Like, listen, when I say that, I meant it more along the lines of, like, there are episodes that are somebody's passion project, right? Like, let's be clear here. That does happen. It just meant more along the lines of, like, the animation looks, specifically the line was, it looks so good because Origin put his heart and soul to it. And I was like, let's be clear here, because even Origin wouldn't want that set, so.
Anyway, sorry. I didn't say part of the reason it looks so good. I said part of the reason that it happened in general is because there was people who wanted to do it.
Okay, I must have misheard you then. I'm so sorry, because I have heard that so much recently. I've had people be like, this is the Luis episode, this is the Origin episode. I remember just sitting there and being like, what the fuck?
Right.
Well, anyway, why is this your passion project? Go.
I really like both games, and I like both characters. Seafrin is my second favorite character in fiction, and the hero is my fifth favorite character in fiction. Okay, so fucking, I'm trying to collect my thoughts because I literally could talk about this match for an hour, just spewing shit.
Let's avoid doing the play-by-play so we can get through more of this list.
Okay, so the main thing is they are monochromatic, knife-wielding protagonists in stories about time loops, where they constantly relive the same events over and over again, and both games have heavy themes of love. For Seafrin, it's love for his party and how he doesn't want to let them leave him, and for the hero, it's his love for the princess. And there's a lot more connections, like the fact how neither were really meant to be the protagonists of their stories, but like, I'm not gonna fucking talk about that. I'm gonna talk about how much this is just a really fun episode. Basically, the progression for this fight would be, it would start out with like a basic knife fight, which would then transition into them using more of their special abilities in order to get an upper hand, until eventually it's a fist fight between gods. So Seafrin, he in Stars in Time is kind of like a parody of the standard RPG, where it's like you start at the end. Like you're at the final boss, you're gonna go into the final dungeon, beat the final boss, and save the kingdom you're in. However, when you get there, you die immediately. You fail, but then you rewind time, and then you get to redo the entire thing. You go and you beat the final boss. However, when you're being given the standard end speech, you're then brought back to the beginning of the game again, and then it just keeps going like that, and you slowly watch Seafrin lose his mind as he's just constantly struggling in order to find ways to break the time loop he's in. Well, for the hero, he has to go in and slay the princess. However, the decisions he makes throughout the game constantly changes his perspective of the princess, and thus changes how he believes. He changes how he owned his perception of the princess and thus warping reality to change the princess into whatever. So basically, throughout this, you would basically be watching them go through trying to fight each other, dying constantly, coming back, and then killing the other before time just rewinds again. You're constantly watching them just try and get an upper hand over the other through thousands of loops, just constantly doing the same thing, fighting, dying, repeating over and over again. However, the longer the fight goes on, the more and more reality breaks apart as it cannot comprehend the fight. Like, that's constantly, like, just destroying itself. And then this would eventually lead into both entering their, like, giant god states, which would basically be them as the background of the, like, fight itself. Like, they're the sky, the stars, the very essence of what the background is. That's what they are, as they're just, like, fucking fist fighting. That sounds so cool. It's also a really good... the hero also gives really good exploration into Siffrin's mental health problems, because that's what In Stars and Time is all built around. The slow mental deterioration of Siffrin, as he's, like, forced to reckon with his own, like, problems with abandonment, and his belief that his life is just like some sick stage play. The hero's perception warps reality. So in doing so, so you can have Siffrin do something like, say, this entire fight is just some sick stage play, and thus that changes the hero's perception into it is a stage play. Then all of a sudden, the next part of the fight opens, and then a curtain opens, and then it's just two guys, and then you see Siffrin and the hero on stage as they're just, like, fighting as an audience is watching and laughing at them throughout the entire thing. Like, there's a lot of really cool minor things you can constantly be doing throughout the fight. Like, both games have monochromatic art styles, but, like, there's in-universe explanations for why everything is, like, black and white. So in the final part, when, like, reality is cracking apart, you can see color start to seep back into the world, because that's how broken everything is from just them fighting for so long. Not even the color palettes of the games themselves could even keep consistent. So, like, you're seeing reds, greens, blues pop up. There's so much stuff you can do in this fight. It's literally taking everything I have not to just, like, do a play-by-play. I've literally written down a doc.
Kinda did, buddy. No. I hate to tell you this, but you kinda did.
Okay, yeah.
You did.
So, it sounds
you didn't
like
do it. That's not anything wrong. Yeah, all at once.
Yeah, like...
There, it sounds like this is less one where they're like... I'm hearing myself and it's throwing me off. This sounds like one where it's less like, oh, they can do whatever, and more like you have to really interpret how these things actually work. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, it sounds like you were thinking a lot about how to present things because maybe the concepts are a little more hard to understand, maybe?
Yeah, like, both In Stars and Time and Slay the Princess, they're both games that don't explain everything happening to you.
Okay.
So, like, there's a lot of interpretation you have to do into this.
That sounds dangerous for a show like this. I gotta be real. It sounds like an interesting idea for an animation, and I can totally see your passion. I can totally see how it could work. I guess the kind of problem I have here is that if we can't put anything to it, the answer becomes we have to make an episode. And this isn't a bad idea to honestly make an episode about. And I think that the Roses community could use a little bit more of this. That sometimes there isn't a fucking answer, and making a definitive statement on something is a kind of a dumb idea. You know?
Oh, no, Siffrin loses really badly. Like, I said that there's a lot of interpretation to this, but, like, that's really just because, like, In Stars and Time and Slay the Princess are, like, they leave things up to interpretation, but, like, the Long Quiet is, like, a fifth-dimensional god, while Siffrin is, like, solar system max. Like, I've played these games enough to where, like, I understand what is going to be happening. Like, I understand everything. Like, yeah,
He's
Slay the Princess.
He knows all.
I am the lore master, but, like,
oh,
yeah, okay, like, I might not have explained it that well, but like this is like
this is something where if you're gonna like sell someone on it, you not to say anything.
I should have written down a
script
for myself to read out.
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't have written a script. Here's the thing: you shouldn't have written a script because the idea sounds interesting from what you told me from the animation. I don't know who the fuck these characters are. I don't know why I care. They're doing this stuff, but who is this strange, sassy, eye-patched child? And why is my neighbor Totoro so fucking scary over there? What is their conflict?
Seafrin's actually 25.
I'm sorry. Why is my neighbor 25-year-old doing that?
Okay. The sassy eye patch child is 25.
The sassy eye patched man thing. Gender.
Yeah, like if you really want to split hairs.
I don't know.
The long quiet.
You missed my point. You took my point, and you put it over there when it is supposed to be over here in front of me where I'm about to say it.
Look, The Long Quiet's only like 5 hours old by the start of Slay the Princess.
That's cool, we're killing an infant. Wonderful.
The Long Quiet wins!
There we go. That's right, Boomstick. This baby's got 15 kids. But here's the thing. I just don't know anything about them. What is going on? What is their story? What is their fight? Who is this princess you keep talking about? I don't know anything about what's going on with either of these characters, and I'm sure that's because of their narrative and there's some big twist. But if you're going to try to sell this to us, unfortunately, you have to give me the plot hook so that way I go, oh, so it's this character's narrative actually breaks here, and they're actually, I don't know, I haven't played either. This character's actually the villain despite thinking they're the hero, and it's misunderstood. Well, this character is portrayed as the villain, but is actually the whole time guiding the player character in their game. So their interaction, right, it's like this, and the narrative's interesting because of that. There's nothing here you're giving me beyond these two break time.
Okay, so basically the plot of Slay the Princess, you play as a guy named the hero, and you're told by the narrator that you need to go and slay the princess. You walk into the forest, you see a cabin, you go inside the cabin, and there's a knife. You pick up the knife, you walk downstairs, and you find the princess. You then talk to the princess, and Slay the Princess is a visual novel with a lot of that, like, your choices matter. Every single choice you make changes how the hero, the protagonist, perceives the princess. Thus, changing the perception of the princess warps reality to change the princess into what you were perceiving. Is the princess some world-destroying god? If you make the choices where you believe that, then the princess becomes a world-destroying god. Do you think you slayed the princess? Then all of a sudden the princess comes back as a ghost. Do you think that the princess is some misunderstood damsel that you need to go rescue? The princess then morphs to become said damsel. Basically, the whole point of the game is you're going through a story. Like, you have a narrator telling you what you need to be doing. However, depending on how you choose depending on your choices throughout the story, this would then break the narrative, changing reality and how the story goes. So, like, In Stars and Time is a game where you play as a guy named Seafrin. He is the rogue in, like, the standard JRPG adventure party. You have gone through, like, a year-long journey, and things are about to end. So then you go inside to the final dungeon to beat the king. However, upon doing so, you then die. You then realize you are stuck in a time loop, and the first part of the game is you need to go and beat the king, and you believe in doing so you'll be free from the time loop. However, that doesn't happen. You then are found back at the beginning. The rest of the game is then dedicated to finding more about, like, what you're truly caught in, what is going on, learning more about yourself because Stephen has amnesia. You learn more about yourself and, like, how time works. So the princess, you're in a similar position where you don't have any memories and you're just told to go slay this person. So, like, it's a fight between two monochromatic time loopers caught in a story where they have to go and kill a specific person. However, in doing so, you constantly break the narrative that, like, the story is meant to be bound to, and then you go and you find out more about yourself. Who are you? Where are you from?
Okay, so let me try to boil this down for you into something sellable. This is a story about a character who's based off their perception changes reality versus a character who's trying to break out of perception.
Kind of. That's not exactly how I describe it in Stars in Time, but like that is kind of something. Like a major thing with this matchup is like kind of like the story you can tell about stories itself, because like both games are like kind of parodies of the standard like story, where like Seafrin is like in Stars in Time is a parody of the standard like JRPG story you tell, where you go, you beat the big bad, and then you save the country. While for Slay the Princess, it's you go in, like the hero goes in, finds the princess chained up, and then frees her. But like both kind of like break that. The hero is meant to go and slay the princess, but instead he talks with her and changes his perception, which then changes reality to where like nothing really works. The narrative is broken. While for Seafrin, it's he got to the end, but then he's forced back to the beginning, constantly forced to go through the same ending dungeon over and over again, breaking the narrative. Like this is kind of like a deconstruction. This would be a really good character study for both, but like it'd also be a deconstruction of like stories themselves, where like throughout the entire thing they're talking about their places in the world. Like what are they really? What do they mean to like the wider narrative, the wider universe? Because like that's kind of what both games are about. Yeah, so like and I like it because because like the hero with his ability to manipulate his perception, manipulating reality, it could bring out like a lot of like really cool character moments for both, where like again you have the thing where they're both like trapped on a stage play and they're forced to like badly act out like what like the remaining fight. Like there's a lot of moving parts to this. Like I really want to do this, but like I'll admit, going in, I have like a very strong vision as to what I want to do. Like this is
that is a problem in itself, because once the research starts and all that kind of stuff starts, your vision might change drastically. Not to mention, again, a very important thing about animators, especially working with animation, having a strong vision is great. If you can get the storyboards for it, that's great. However, not everything you're looking for is always going to be feasible. Not everything you're looking for is going to be done on a budget. And again, just like with Loki versus Beatrice, first off, these characters are hand-drawn. This is a hand-drawn episode. I need you to understand what
actually, Seafrin, he actually comes from sprites. This is just like from this this art for him is like track art, but like Slay the Princess is hand-drawn, yeah.
Yes, well, but one character's hand-drawn, the other character usually has to be hand-drawn unless we want to make that character sprites, and that's a whole different thing. People will expect a hand-drawn episode because it's like the princess. That's what I was expecting immediately. That's part of it. The other part of it is that this is just an episode where almost you have to play the games to understand it, and that's hard to do for an audience, because you don't want to spoil it, because these are two indie games that make especially because they're indie, I don't feel like us walking up and spoiling that's necessarily the greatest idea. So you almost have to go, hey, you have to play these two games first. There's a back line of implied knowledge that you need to have in order to truly enjoy this fight. And I think that's kind of what holds me back from wanting to do it personally, because it's like, first off, not only will the audience have to know, all your animators are going to have to understand, and you can't just half explain this. You just tried that, and it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you have to understand what's happening here. It sounds like that's something where you have to experience, and I've heard that about Slay the Princess before. I think what's holding this fight back is that you would have to not only get everybody on fucking board for it, everybody would have to play the game, and that's hard. That's kind of a hard thing to do.
I'm gonna be honest, I would legitimately pay to get every single animator a copy of both Stars in Time and Slay the Princess, in order to like have them all play it so they can understand my ideas. Like I am really fucking passionate about this shit. I would legit do that.
Also, I just want to mention in general that I know enough about Slay the Princess, even though we never went into it, to know that the character on the right is just entirely a spoiler. I'm not going to say why it's a spoiler, but the existence of the character in itself is a spoiler.
Okay, so then there you go. And I think that alone, this is a fight for, first off, this is a fight for a few years down the line when we have money. Second off, this is a fight for a few years down the line when these games have been out for a while. Even under
So the Princess
like
has been out
Undertale.
since like 2022, 2023.
Oh yeah, I'm just gonna actually cut it off here, because Zoro's right, and I was gonna try and say.
Okay, I'm
We've
sorry.
Been here for 45
These
fucking
have
minutes.
also been
For this
also
one?
been the matchup I submitted.
No, for between the last two that have both been his.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
Yeah, we've been on 2 matchups for like an hour. We should probably pick.
I wanted to say something, but I didn't want to cut you off because I want to be rude. I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
You made your points, and we can talk about it more later when it's not on cast.
We'll come back.
Go back! Go back! Put him on screen! Yes!
Yeah. Okay.
This is also Dark Glorious.
No, this is mine. Fuck that guy.
Okay.
You give me 3D episode. I animate John Wick. I make kill, and that's my pitch. Any questions?
Okay. We can circle back.
Down.
Okay. Look, John Wick is my favorite action. The John Wick series are my favorite action movies. I can legit talk about this match for a while. Please do something else, so then it's not just the Dark Lord show for like.
So here's
let me do it.
Here's what we're gonna do. Real quick, let me lay down some ground rules. Let's try to streamline the rest of this so we don't spend too long. Step 1, introduce characters. Step 2, talk about fight potential. Step 3, if you want to cover what a fight could look like in terms of like story, whatever, right? But do it in 3 steps. Let me know who they are, what they can do, and just a little bit of how you see the fight. That's it.
All right. You know what, Laura? I'll let you. Can I take John Wick? Do you mind?
No, I want to talk about John Wick. They're my favorite action movies.
They're my favorite action movies too.
Okay,
Fuck you.
Genuinely.
Fuck you. I submitted this matchup. You're talking about Jacket.
Fine.
Okay, so John Wick is an assassin. He tried to get out of the game for love, but then his wife died. Then some mobsters killed his dog, and then he just decided to go. He went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and then just decided to start killing them all. And then he just kept killing for like 3 more movies until he died.
That's not. No, he's not just any assassin. He's the assassin.
He's the Baba Yaga. He's the one.
Not just the Baba Yaga. He's
the one who you
assassin.
sent to kill the fucking boogeyman.
Boogeyman with a fucking pencil. No. We hype him up properly. I'm sorry, man, but like, listen, that is
I spent
most
fucking
insane killer.
45 minutes talking about like fucking Loki, Beatrice, Seafrin, and the hero.
Yeah, but
okay?
now I'm interested in a fight, and this one's me too.
Okay,
That's
guys,
the difference.
If we get hung up on this, we're going to be here for another 45 minutes.
And it's 45 minutes well spent because John Wick.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's fucking John Wick.
All right. Hype up John Wick, Alpha.
All right, John Wick is not just any guy. Come on now. That's Baba Yaga. John Wick started training at a very, very, very young age and was basically a child's assassin molded into the perfect killer. He has proficiency with knives, guns, pretty much anything. A fucking pencil. He's killed a man with a pencil, and he's seen it done many times on screen. Not the point of the matter. John Wick is not just any assassin. He's the best the Continental has to offer. If you want an impossible job done, John Wick has done it thousands upon thousands of times. You know what else he's done thousands upon thousands of times? Killed. This man has a kill count the size of a small fucking city in like fucking Iowa. Thousands upon thousands of people. And not just that, he's done it mostly alone. It's very rare for John to work. But that just means he's a master of stealth. He's a master of understanding killing. He's a master of blending in with crowds. When John Wick comes to do something, it gets done. John Wick is genuinely probably the scariest one-man army you can ever run into. But most importantly, beyond all of that, despite everything, John Wick does have a set of morals. John Wick is not just your psychopathic murderous killer. Part of his morals are what continue to drive him forward and what allow him to get away with what he's done. People like John. It's not just because he's proficient at what he does, but because John actually has, despite everything, a heart under there, which is the core of the series itself. Revenge starts the series. Acceptance ends the series. John, I will not spoil the end of John Wick, but what I will say is that John is a good person, and that's what makes you want to root for him. But you know who isn't a good person, Dark, and I'll pass it off to you, Jacket.
All right. So, Hotline Miami. It's a series of 2 games where you play. Well, in the first game, you play as Jacket, basically an insane person who is a hired gun. You call into the hotline, you get Jacket. You tell him where to go, and he'll kill every single person in the building. And he does it while wearing animal masks. He also constantly hears voices. He is not a good person. He constantly kills, and one of the main points of Hotline Miami is asking, do you like to hurt people? In Jacket's case, it's a little complicated, but the answer is yes, he does like to hurt people. So then you constantly run around the game, shooting up entire compounds of people until eventually you get caught, put in prison, and then Miami gets bombed. Womp womp.
Yeah.
But basically, the idea for this matchup is like both of these guys are hyper experts in like killing with anything that they get their hands on. So I love the idea of like you put them both in a building, like John Wick's already cleared it out, but then Jacket walks in, sees him, and then they just stare at each other for a bit, and then they just start shooting at each other. And it's basically like they're trying to run around the entire house, trying not to be caught, as they're just like shooting each other. And like you can see both of their like fucking insane parts of their personalities just like start seeping through. Like John Wick just like getting shot and then just like continue fighting, or Jacket Jacket talking through like tape recorders.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think
like,
the core of this fight that's most interesting is that
these are two characters that dealt with something extremely a story that in Hotline Miami 2 we do learn it. Let's be clear here. But two characters that dealt with a lot of specific trauma, quote unquote, tried to get out of the game and had to come back, and the way that these two different characters deal with it. You've got John Wick who walks back into it and does it reluctantly, but does it still with a love and heart and passion without much change to who he used to be. And then you have Jacket.
Yeah.
And that's all I will say to not spoil anything further. But what's interesting about this fight is that these two are not so dissimilar at the end of the day, and they both have a kill count to match. So what happens when two supposedly retired killers get back to work? That's the plot of Hotline Miami, and that's the plot of John Wick. And I think that's why this fight is so interesting.
Yeah, it's super cool. I love like I'm gonna be real. I didn't like John Wick versus fucking
James Bond.
James Bond.
Yeah, James Bond. I didn't like that episode.
I think the idea was a good. I think it was a good idea.
It was a good idea, but it wasn't really executed that well.
I'm extremely disappointed with the animation to this day. I do have to admit.
Fucking let's.
And that's also why I would. That's why I would like to do this. As a matter of fact,
yeah, I love to do
fights. Things, John Woo movies, the Raid films, things like classic Chinese kung fu. I love fights. You get me this fight, you get me a fucking mocap suit, and I will fucking just go ape shit. Listen to me.
All right, I'm not sure I go that far. Okay, this ain't.
Okay, you might not. You don't need to actually get me a mocap, but listen. These kinds of fights are my thing. I love hand-to-hand combat. Yeah. I love gunplay. I love all of this different stuff. Red versus Blue is like one of my favorite series. Maniom is one of my favorite animators. Torian Crawford. Pretty much anybody that worked on like that era of Death Battle as well. Like Divya Huhan, shout outs to him. This is a fight that I would love to tackle because it just allows me to go ape shit, and you're paying me to make a bunch of people shoot each other. So if you need an animator for this, you have one.
Yeah, I would fucking love to make this one. I don't think I'd want this to be 3D. Maybe something like sprites, but like I'd love it if we can like kind of mesh like the whole way John Wick and Hotline Miami like kind of position their camera. So then like we can kind of have it like be whoever's winning the fight. That's where like the camera is going. So like if like Jacket's winning, you get that kind of overview of Hotline Miami where you're seeing him you can see him like using automatic weapons in order to like catch John Wick. However, for if John Wick is winning, you get the camera more close, personal, or like you can basically just like do a bunch of shit with the camera.
There's so much you can do with the camera work. This is my area. I should have soaking up a little bit to help you out here. There's so much you can do with cinematography. There's so much you can do with choreography. There's so much love and passion you can put into these because John Wick knows so many different fighting styles. He knows Krav Maga. He knows Jeet Kune Do. He knows all of these different things. And really, the John Wick movies carry more of an Eastern influence. So your Chinese films like your Raids and your Ip Mans and stuff like that. Well, Jacket obviously comes from the more American side of things. It allows you to play with both sides of action films, that your Die Hards or your fucking like Fast and the Furious and stuff like that. It allows you to play with both sides of action films and do the cinematography in that same way. And again, I want to do this. So that's really the long and short of it.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's all we need to say.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say,
we need to move on. We need to move on.
I will say, isn't this technically the same series matchup because they both have canonical crossovers in Payday 2?
I'm going to hurt you in ways not known by vegetable, animal, or mineral. Next question!
All right.
Okay.
So this was one that was submitted on the Discord. Fleetway Sonic versus Kasa Nabaraki, right?
Ooh.
So I do like this. It's not the most thematic thing in the world, but I do like this. And as someone who's trying to find a Toho matchup for Mr. Edgy Igot, this is one of the first ones I was looking at. It was on the tournament. Was it Tournament of Champions?
The Tournament of Champions!
Yes, it was on the tournament.
Yeah, so it's on
the just so you know, fucking love this matchup. I'd love to do it. This is like my favorite Toho. I'd love to research Fleetway. Okay, I'll be back in a second.
So it's a really interesting matchup. Fleetway Sonic is obviously a completely different character. I didn't have enough time to fully get into the nuances of Fleetway's character, but we're all autistic here. We know how Sonic works. So Kasa Nabaraki is a little bit different in terms of, is Toho indie? I'm pretty sure. Kasa Nabaraki is a little different. She actually has like a more well-defined different personality. She is someone who lives on this type of mountain that is blocked off to anyone who tries to reach it unless they follow a certain set of rules. She specializes in making medicines for a lot of people, in curing like very deadly diseases, but she's also someone who is a master of, I think it's called the yokai arts, where it's like, if anyone's played Toho, you know, like the shoot 'em up style gameplay. She's a lot more hand to hand rather than shooty, but she still has some ways where she like exercises demons and such. So one thing I noticed when looking into this, which is a further connection that nobody talks about, even in this thumbnail, they have like the Supersonic and the evil version of herself in the back, right? Yep. But later in their... Does anyone care about Fleetway Sonic spoilers? Anyway.
No, I don't think anyone cares that Supersonic is a completely different individual than Sonic. There, I said it for you.
So, kind of. So they end up merging back together, and he ends up becoming good. And the same kind of thing happens with Kassen. Kassen has a demonic arm, which is part of the reason she turns into that true form. And she also kind of fuses back with it, and she is able to control that power. So at both points, at their strongest points at least, both of them can control the demon side. They're not all fucking evil, overpowered badasses, right? The arm comes off in the same way that Sonic and Fleetway Supersonic separate and become two different entities, and then they come back together and become kind of like a stronger being, essentially, right? And I think that's part of what the original picture of the matchup was trying to get across, rather than using all the evil portraits like everyone tends to use.
Yeah.
I don't have super strong feelings about this matchup per se, but it's for a Toho matchup. I think the fight potential, animation potential is there. I think in terms of direction, like what we were talking about earlier, like how an animator would envision the fight, I feel like hand-to-hand Sonic movement, I feel like that's all stuff that is easily readable and easily understandable.
I just had a dumb thought.
What?
Fleetway Sonic versus Spark the Electric Jester is really funny because they're both just fucking pricks.
Do you, Alpha, be real with me, do you want to animate a fight where one of both characters are just being dicks the whole time?
Yes! I want two assholes to beat the shit out of each other for my amusement. It sounds funny.
I don't want to like rush past this, but we've been going a while now. But I do, hopefully I explain this in a way where if you didn't know who these characters were, you get it.
I didn't really get this matchup when it was on the Tournament of Champions, but I kind of see the appeal now. I would not mind having this on the show.
Fleetway Sonic in and of himself is a little sassy, but he is a very like, he's not a bad person. Like, he's not like the Jester where he's being a dick to everyone. But he is a little bit.
He's just a man failure. He's not like a dick.
You know what I mean, though, where he's not like talking down to people like the Jester would when he's mad.
He does okay, Fleetway absolutely does sometimes. I'm calling bullshit.
Only against the villains he's fighting. He doesn't like
and Tails a lot.
Oh well, yeah, okay, yeah, I forgot about that. But yes,
and all of the others actually, honestly, half the time. Knuckles.
Really?
Yeah, man. Have you read Fleetway? Have you read it all?
I was trying to read as much as I could before this cast, so I can try to represent it well.
He's kind of a prick, and that's okay. He's cocky like Sonic is. Like, he can be a nice guy, but he's
but also he
Sonic.
Does legitimately just like call Tails ugly like out of nowhere.
Multiple
hello
times.
everyone, I'm back.
Really? Okay, maybe those first few chapters
were
not
Sonic's
very representative of what the rest of the series is like.
Yeah, this is very much his own
depends
character.
On the writer. Sonic does vary based off the writer a lot of the time. But no, he's a fucking prick.
Yeah.
Is this official artwork for him? Because that looks surprisingly good if it is. Because I thought Fleetway Sonic was
Fleetway Sonic,
old.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, that is official art. I think.
Yeah, it is.
It looks a little. I think it's definitely like a really crisp cut of it, because like the typical one I've seen is like tends to be lower quality, but like it looks to be better. The Fleetway Supersonic one, that is fan art though. That's from Friday Night Funkin' Mug, I think.
Okay. Well, we're off the fan art now. We don't want to be caught with fan art. I'm sure.
Oh my god, they're in the PlayStation 2. Someone get them out of there.
Oh my god.
Oh god, is that? That's so funny.
It is the PlayStation 2, but red.
That's
so funny. PlayStation.
Hold on a minute. Neither of these characters are. Get this off screen. Neither of them are in the fucking PS2. Boo! Boo! Another 8 years for Silksong.
Okay, Alpha. Quiet down.
Alright, so I don't know personally the thematics of this fight, but I posit you that I added this here specifically to say, please let me research Silksong so I have time to play Silksong.
No.
Well, I mean, you could just greenlight Ori versus the Knight, just saying.
Well, I don't need that for Ori versus the Knight, because Hollow Knight's
well, I mean, don't you need it for, like, scaling?
Hollow Knight's all you need, baby.
Yeah, the Knight appeared in Silksong, so therefore you'd have to play it to be sure.
I'm pretty sure the Knight is dead, so how would he appear in...
Shut the fuck up, shut the fuck... No, he definitely appears... Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I'm trying to give you an excuse, man. Come on. Help yourself out.
Okay, so... I might know a few bits of it, because I am familiar with... I have not played Silksong either, so... If there are any connections to be had in that game, I apologize. Someone else who's played Silksong might be able to fill in the details, but I know that just looking at these characters, they do have similar gameplay styles, as I think the appeal for this one is that both are characters who were originally side characters in the original indie games, and then went on to have their own adventures with, the Knight of Spectre Knight having his own little campaign afterward as part of the DLC, and Silksong was originally supposed to be a DLC campaign for Hollow Knight before they decided to spend 7 years to make its own game on Radio Silence, and both of them have like the red color scheme, and they also have the unique platforming elements of like the dive attack that bounces off, so they are, compared to their original games of, Hollow Knight and Shovel Knight, they have a bit more of a learning curve to them, while also being challenging in having that dive attack. I'm not doing a good job explaining this.
It's okay. I was hoping more people played Shovel Knight here, if I'm being quite honest. When I
played Shovel Knight. I just don't see the connection. It's like, yes, I've played Shovel Knight. I see Spectre Knight. I see him on screen. I don't get it.
Like Spectre Knight's whole deal is that in his DLC campaign, he was a ninja that tried to break into the Enchantress's house and got basically turned into an undead to basically recruit the Order of No Quarter, and then ended up being enslaved to her to, by the time Shovel Knight happens. Does not really have a lot of connections to Hornet, who is a child between the Pale King and one of the seers who seers
not a lot
away. And
yeah, I'm not seeing anything
on here at
like
all.
most of the
Sorry.
comparisons I see are like gameplay, because like from what I've seen of gameplay of both, they both have similar movements of like, you know, the dive into thing that is more difficult than the normal platforming and pogo styling, and then you know, more about counting and maneuvering. So I think it's more about like the fight dynamic would be they have similar move sets. Thematically, unless Silksong has more Hornet thing, and I'm sorry if it does, and we're misrepresenting the matchup, but it seems more like they fight similarly, so it's pretty cool, and have meta.
Yeah, also, one problem isn't one of these a fucking small bug?
We already talked about it.
Okay, we actually talked about this earlier.
Yeah, we already had a conversation.
Something like this, we just make them equal size.
Yeah, if it's something where it's like that, it's like, okay, so Hollow Knight can only fight bugs, and that's really boring.
Yeah, like
also we don't actually know if they're bug sized; they just look like bugs. We don't see any comparisons. I'm trying to find the submission for this. It's probably fake out. Oh, never mind. It's just all they say is animation potential.
Animation potential. I disagree. Next.
Yeah. And great debate, apparently.
No. Isn't Shovel Knight like fucking uni?
Did Alpha just say no?
Wait, Shovel Knight uni? How?
Great debate. No.
No, it's something from like one of the games where it's like there's a mirror that creates like an entire fucking alternate universe, and then
yes, there is. Yes, Shovel Knight gets
fucking
weird.
destroys that shit.
Yeah, but does that really destroying the universe, or is that just destroying the portal of the universe? That's the question of the hour. Who the fuck are these people, and why in my eyes?
So it's like the God of War thing. Okay. It's like the God of War thing where he lifts the doors.
Have you ever heard of something called trans rights?
Yeah, trans rights are human rights. What about it?
Yeah, these. Okay, that's one of the main things with this
matchup. Let's not.
Thing is,
that was it.
Thing is, trans rights are human rights, but these two aren't human. Is the thing.
Yeah, one is a fucking eldritch squid god, and the other is a chair.
Somebody explain who these characters are, please.
I'm so
okay. This was submitted, and I chose it to be one of the ones discussed because I'm actually a big fan of this matchup. This is Zoe versus Cece. Zoe is from the indie game Monster Prom, and Cece is from Mashup Week. This matchup, for the most part, just fascinates me because it's fucking insane. These look like really interesting series that have a lot of fun details to them and style, and then I was introduced to Cece, who is the girl on the right, as her backstory is she was a chair, an inanimate chair, that was brought to life and made humanoid by Billie Eilish.
I don't want to play anymore.
No. You're here. You can't leave anymore. You were given an out. You were given an out after Sparks versus Dash, and you said no. You want to be here, so you're here now.
That's just the tip. That's just the tip of the iceberg. The girl on the left, Zoe, is an Eldritch Squid girl, and she's the biggest Garfield fan ever. And Cece hates Garfield's guts.
Wait,
I have so many fucking.
Are these real characters?
Yeah, these are real characters.
These are real characters from real series.
Okay. I was actually Smelt, the person who's like the biggest fucking fan of this matchup, did a pitch for it, and she pitched it to me. Like, she recorded it. It's on YouTube. So, like, I don't know. If you're interested in the matchup, look up the Zoe versus CC pitch or whatever. But, like, legit, these two are, like, fucking reality warpers. So, like, there's a fucking lot you could do. And again, the start of the right fights itself, because Zoe fucking loves Garfield, and CC fucking hates Garfield. So you could literally just have the fight start with Zoe talking about how great Garfield is, and then CC like, fuck you, like Garfield? And then they just start trying to kill each other.
What is Monster Prom? Is that a dating sim?
It's a competitive party game dating sim where basically you try to get a date for prom, but they're all monsters, and because they're monsters, they don't really adhere to human logic, and they have it plays just as much into the absurdity and comedy as it does. And Zoe is just an eldritch god who also goes to this monster high school.
Yeah. Actually, I think it's something where, like, in the first game, you don't really know Zoe's an option. You kind of like have to do a bunch of like secret stuff in order to like unlock the ability to go out with her. But like in later games, she's just like a more normal member of the cast.
Yeah. She used to be a hidden route, and then when they updated it, she was included with a robot.
So we have a girl from a dating game versus a girl who is actually a chair.
And from fucking music videos.
Yeah.
I've never been more confused by.
It's a really fun idea. It took
abstract.
It's one that it's one that really grows on you the more you get to learn about it. These two have really fun personalities. I think they pair great together as characters. It really sounds like a lot of fun. I'm very glad someone submitted it to get to discuss it a little.
Yeah, I'm actually friends with the guy who submitted it. Hi, Necrostar. Hi.
Oh, I'm surprised you didn't choose it then.
Oh, by the time I picked the matchups, it was like Paul already picked it, so I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna pick something else.
Wait, I did write it on. I did pick one.
You did?
It just doesn't have a thumbnail. It just doesn't have a thumbnail. Yeah, check the MU discussion. I've been talking about it in there.
Oh, yeah. I won't be able to add it to this, but we can talk about it after if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love
apologies if we rush through some of these, just because it is now almost 4:30, meaning we've been doing this for over 2 hours.
Wow.
And
I missed this one.
Yay! My matchup. All right, so this is Invisigal from Dispatch versus Fetch from Infamous Second Son. What? From Infamous Second Son and First Light. And the connections with this one are, both of these are characters that the protagonists meet early on in the adventure who are a bit on the punk aesthetic, but also have villainous tendencies. Fetch her stories that, she is on a killing spree. She was kind of trained by the people trying to keep mutants, or bioterrorists as they're labeled in Infamous, under control. And then when she gets released, she just goes on a killing spree against drug dealers because complications with them led to her brother's death. And Invisigal is someone who... spoilers for Dispatch, so I'll give you
maybe don't. That game's only been out, it's only final chapter's only been out a month. Whoa.
Okay, but it kind of... Okay, I will dance around the spoilers, but... The basic thematics is that based on what you do within the game, both characters kind of ride the tide between good and evil, and based on your outcomes, they can either shed that evil influence and become a hero that they were meant to be, or just fully go a 180 and embrace all-in evil and just go chaotic.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way of describing it without spoiling it. I only brought it up because literally even the DB cast was like, well, let's not talk about the endings here because this is new. And I was like, that immediately rang in my head when you were about to say it. Also, I haven't played Dispatch yet, so I would have been mad at you.
Yeah, you should play Dispatch. I don't have a thing that can play Dispatch, but I watched some YouTube videos on it. It was pretty good. What's the Jacksepticeye playthrough?
I really want to watch it.
I love Dispatch. I highly recommend it. I really ended up falling in love with it. I think it's an amazing game.
Yeah, I would really love a season 2. I have no idea how they do a season 2, but I would love a season 2.
I mean, they've done multiple seasons before, so they could figure it out.
Yeah. Maybe just follow a different person even.
That'd be a good way of doing it. But anywho, so as far as the fight dynamic itself would go, there's actually a lot of unique ways you could do. Fetch's powers are, she's the original holder of the neon power, so she has super speed, she can run up walls, she has lasers, and a lot of the time she uses it to creatively make neon art on the walls, basically turning her kills into freaking art pieces and graffiti art. And Girl, comparatively, she is known for being a little fast as far as Dispatch goes. She has an ability where if you send her solo on a mission, she's a lot faster. She doesn't have super speed, but she is known for being one of the more acrobatic ones. Her main stick is that, she can turn invisible whenever she holds her breath, even though she's a smoker, so,
And she has asthma.
Things. Yeah.
Shout out to all my asthmatics in the audience.
Yeah, but, even though they don't have direct similarities for power. They do have similar fighting styles in which there are a lot more mobile people, so it would just be a lot of like running and dashing. One unique interaction could be regarding Fetch's power source, because as far as Infamous goes, your powers are limited and you have to constantly drain stuff from the environment in order to fuel your powers. If you have Smokey, they need to do that. Cole McGrath needed to charge himself from electrical appliances, and Fetch needs to drain her neon signs in order to fuel her abilities. Something interesting is that, in the games, Delsin is able to defeat her by slowly destroying the neon signs so that she'd weaken herself. That's relevant because Fetch usually has Robert Robinson on call with her, who's able to access cameras to even watch the fight, and on multiple occasions is able to hack into things to help her out. So there could be a really cool interaction where Robert hacks into wherever they're fighting to manually shut off the neon lights, causing the final standoff to happen, since Fetch no longer has a way to recharge herself. So I think this would just be a really cool. The thematics work very well, and the characters would play off each other very well.
Somebody said, what's stopping Fetch from Churm, sorry. What's stopping Fetch from blitzing super speed is kind of weird. I mean, it depends on how fast Dispatch gets, right? Just because someone doesn't have super speed in a series doesn't mean they're still not ridiculously fast, right?
Yeah, and plus, Invisigal has kept up with other superpowers individuals, not even just the ones with giant techs, but ones that fly, shoot fire. So it's not like she's never faced anyone with something like super speed and laser fire before. So yeah, Fetch would probably have the speed advantage, but it wouldn't be enough to instantly blitz the fight, especially if you could just hack into it, cut off the neon power source, and it's basically just waiting out until Fetch drains herself off for, Invisigal to take her down. So
speed is only important if you can actually hit your target.
Correct. Exactly. And if you're invisible, that's going to be a lot harder. So despite what it feels like on the surface, obviously depends on research, but it could be very debatable and can go either way.
Yeah, I know that Robert has a light speed reaction feed, so there's definitely a lot of stuff you could do for Dispatch.
There could be some chain scaling and stuff like that, but I don't think that's what anybody.
Well, Invisigal would obviously scale to a fucking normal ass Robert Robertson, because Robert is just a normal fucking guy.
He's just a dude. That is true. Yeah.
So
right. I'm gonna go to the next one. Here's gonna be my little ruling for right now, just because it's getting late. Mm-hmm. We've done this a little bit. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do one more after this, and then I want to talk about the one Alpha sent.
Yeah.
Right. I'll save what I have, and maybe we can do a part 2 down the line. Mm-hmm. I think that sounds fair, because I think it's almost 5:00 for me, and that means it's probably. Here. Oh yeah, that's right. So I kind of want to finish up soon. So this, one more, and then we'll move on. Hat Kid versus Umbrella. Just want to say, I fucking hate you, Hat Kid. Or sorry, Mustache Girl. Anyway, continue.
All right. I can take the lead on this one, being a huge Hat in Time fan. So this is Hat Kid from, Hat in Time versus Umbrella from Skullgirls. And thematics-wise, it's not the strongest one. The general gist is that they're both small kids who use umbrellas for their weapons and are very cheerfully and, they're both really optimistic, fun-loving kids who just want to have fun and don't take things seriously. Umbrella has a lot more going on with her story that isn't reflected much in this fight. So it's not a perfect thematic dynamic, but I think what it does well really works well. Just because it'd be just a very fun dynamic. You might notice that Umbrella has eyes, because that's actually a parasite from the Skullgirl universe known as Hunger, which is known for being responsible for devouring entire civilizations and armies. But, because she also has a connection to the Skull Heart, and rather than like slowly drain away her life force, Hunger is able to feed off of the Skullgirl's energy, and the two surprisingly get along well. This is another dynamic where it's like it really would just come down to like a fun fight between these two, because I could see like Hunger eating a timepiece and then Hat Kid wanting to like act on that, and that causes the fight. And it kind of have a similar dynamic between Mustache Girl and BB Hood, except a lot less violent and bloodthirsty, with Hat Kid doing her parkour tricks, using her umbrella beams and other hat abilities, while Umbrella is just using Hunger. She's kind of a grappler. She'd be doing a lot of stuff, like eating stuff that's coming after her, zipping in or out, and just... She also has this mechanic where if she eats someone inside the umbrella, she can get more powerful as Hunger fills up. But if you wait a while to eat something, Hunger will generally get weaker. So that could be a fun dynamic to run with it as well. Like, it's a simple matchup, but I think it's a fun one.
I believe there's an animation being made for this matchup, right?
Oh, really? Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was like the Gene Arthur versus show or whatever.
Yeah.
The Gene Arthur did the animatic for it, yes.
Okay. I was going to say, I heard something about this matchup.
Yeah, there's like... Gene Arthur's making a lot of animatics. Like, I saw their animatic for Nemesis vs. Magician. It was really good.
It was phenomenal. It was so good.
You should check it out. Yeah, check it out, chat.
In terms of this matchup,
check it out,
right?
Or I'll kill you.
There's like... check it out, or I'll kill you. Sorry. For this matchup, right? Skullgirl's fighting game. I played it a total of one time, and I was kind of confused by it. She's just... All she really does... The umbrella eats, and she fights with it, right? Like, there's nothing really more complex. Hat Kid's got all of their, like... They have things called, like, yarn or something like that, where, like, they can create different badges with it, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. And those badges can do different things, like being able to, like, conjure...
The yarn is used to make hats, and badges are a separate thing, but she does have a wide tool set.
Yeah, so essentially it would be someone who is, let's be real, fucking Umbrella is probably leagues stronger than Hat Kid from scaling to the Skullgirl, which I don't want to have to explain what exactly a Skullgirl is, because that's complicated as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
So there's probably way stronger.
Hat Kid,
so
like,
it's
fucking universal?
The arguments for Hat Kid being universal are not my favorite, if I'm being honest. It's one of those things where it's like it doesn't really matter for this discussion.
I have no horse in this race. It was just something I heard.
But it's a character who eats things, is very good at just physically fighting, who's probably way stronger, versus a person who has a bunch of different things they can shoot out, and, like, you know, they can bring out a moped out of nowhere. And generally can kind of manipulate time, but that one's debatable. So someone with a big arsenal versus someone with, like, experience and stats advantage is how I see this matchup. Yeah. I just really wouldn't go into the Skullgirl's bloody side of things, just because I feel like that wouldn't be right here.
Oh, no.
Decapitate the Hat Kid!
Climb, I swear to God, if this kill is fucking bloody, I don't care who it is, I will fucking find you, okay? I have no horse in this race, aside from the fact
we're going to break their legs to keep down the rent.
One thing I said in my Ash versus Yugi reaction thing I did was that, like, I was very happy that they ended Ash in such a respectful way. That was a reference to something else. None of the Pokemon were getting decapitated or, like, fucking killed like some of the old death battles with Pokemon in it. And it felt like that's, like, a respect to the series to not, like... present it in such a way where it would never be presented in media. And I feel like that would kind of be the same here. I wouldn't want that for a character who's just not like that.
Especially since Umbrella is, like, the most wholesome, optimistic character in Skullgirls. Like, if she won, it wouldn't be her decapitating Hat Kid. I imagine, like, because Hunger likes to eat things. So I could see the ending just be Hunger biting and swallowing Hat Kid, but then Umbrella's just like, what? No! Hunger! No! Spit it! Out! And him just, like, spitting out Hat Kid, and her just being knocked out with, like, those, like, swirly knocked out anime eyes. Just something really goofy and wholesome. Just like, hey, drop it, drop it, drop it. Good hunger. Here, have an ice cream.
In any case, if we or anyone else does this fight, they need to have a part where they go into this area that's behind Hat Kid, where it's like the dream-like blocky areas, because those are cool.
Oh, that'd be really fun.
This will be the last one we talk about for now.
Yes.
So a lot of people, I say it all the time, where it's like Neon White or Neon. Oh yeah, no, his name is Neon White. Neon White versus V1,
right.
obviously the most popular one, right? All the time.
Got it.
Neku versus Makoto, obviously the most popular one. I'm not looking to do the most popular thing, because then we'll just be like pretty predictable. And when I saw this, I was like, okay, you know what? I actually fully get it. The concepts of like you have to do these certain things. Well, I guess they're technically, for Neon White's case, it's like challenges that they get to just not be in hell for a little bit, compared to Neku, where it's like you get to come back to life, which is. I think I don't want to spoil it. World Ends with You, because I think it's legitimately worth playing. But there's a twist. There's a twist for it. The Neon White thing, that's something you hear right in the beginning of the game. That's not a spoiler. But I find it really interesting. You know this matchup, Alpha?
I do.
I'm familiar with this matchup, but I'm more familiar with Neon White because that is Steve Bloom playing him, which I recently did a Steve Bloom impression for Death Battle. I did the trailers for the Toonami opening with Ash and Yugi. So me seeing Steve Bloom here, all activated neurons because I love Steve Bloom. Monkey Brain activate.
Oh, that was you?
Yeah, that was me. Coming up next, Ash versus Yugi. The childhood clash comes to Death Battle this Saturday.
No, y'all look at the credits.
No, I'm not. Actually, I was uncredited on
credits,
those.
okay?
Actually,
I'm above that.
In your defense, I was uncredited on those because if it said Project Alpha 22 voiced those, I was a known animator in the community. People would be like, it's going to be, oh god, oh fuck, it's 3D! Which I think is why they didn't say anything, but I'm not sure on that. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah. Never mind. I was about to complain about something, but I won't. It's not related to this, so I'll complain to you later, Alpha.
Alrighty. But I'm going to complain at you here first real quick. Listen, I love The World Ends With You. I think it's a fantastic game. I'm actually a really big fan of the plot. I love the art style. I think it's a wonderful piece of art. I think it's a wonderful piece of work. I totally kind of see why chose this matchup. I have to be so real with you. Neon White versus V1 is like one of my favorites. I understand it's predictable, but sometimes my counter to you on something, oh, well, it's predictable. Sometimes something's predictable because it's fucking fun. You know what I mean?
In the immortal words of Chucky,
it's
a true classic never goes out of style.
So just to be clear,
words of Chucky, and the fluid. Continue.
Just to be clear about this is that, first of all, Neon White versus V1 is later down the line on the same thing. We just didn't get to it because we ran out of time.
Okay.
Cool. I'm more so.
Neon White was the next time, and I got half my wish.
I'm more so referring to just like looking at things more than just like, this is it. This is my one thing done. Right? Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, so I saw this and I was like, okay, well, that's an interesting kind of discussion. That's something I would have a discussion about.
Okay.
Obviously, Neon White versus V1 is like insanely good in terms of parallels.
Mm-hmm.
But when connective tissue wise, this one does make a lot of sense. It's more so like sure. when I saw this and I was like, oh, okay, that's actually really interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely got connections. Yeah, it's got connections. I can never take that away.
You don't have pants? No, there's a lot better connections.
They got pants. I think Neku's is wearing some shorts there, buddy.
Here's my question for
cancel
Neku. So he can have Shiki. Oh my god, who are the name of the other two?
Rin?
No, I don't think you actually ever play with Rin.
Oh, right. I don't think you do either.
So he has two other. Joshua, I know Joshua's one of them. Joshua's the don't say anything about it, please, because it's spoiler. Joshua is something, but he has 3 companions essentially in the series that switch out per chapter, right? Do we give him companions if we do an episode with him, or are we just like, that's most of his skill set? He can't really do much without them, because part of it is like he is stuck with like just kind of normal hits until he makes the pin connection with one of the characters, and then it opens up his moveset.
Maybe we can just give him the abilities of those companions without them being there would be my thing. Because again, because I look at Neon White, it's like I don't think. I mean, you're right. If the companions aren't there, he's kind of shit, which is kind of one of the other things I was gonna say, which is kind of like I love Neku, he's great, but like he kind of needs somebody with him. This almost feels like needs to be paired.
With a question like Makoto versus Neku, I think it's like one of those things was like, okay, Makoto has a shit ton of personas. It makes sense that Neku would have his companions.
Yeah, you could give that to Neku. What does Neon White have in that same regard, right?
He's got his cards and his guns, but like, I wonder if there's other ways you can look at Neku's fighting style, like other things he can potentially have, like some of the badges that doesn't require the partner to be there, maybe? I don't know, because there's a part of the game where you don't have partners. So I just can't remember off the top of my head.
I can't either. It's been a long time.
Yeah. I think in terms of thematics, it's very interesting. You're in heaven for a little bit. You get to avoid being in hell, but you're dead. You're in the real world, kind of, but you're not present to anyone unless you're in a convenience store for some reason. But you're still dead. It's an interesting comparison. But either Neku destroys them with the power of everyone else, or Neon White shoots them in the head without everyone. That's kind of how I see it.
Yeah. I'm not that into the fight dynamic of this, because from what I've seen from The World Ends With You and Neon White, they don't really have like the most compatible fighting styles, because like the whole point of Neon White is that it's like really fast, you're fucking jumping around, you're getting cards, you're sacrificing the cards in order to get different abilities, throwing everything out, killing demons, blah 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 blah. And like, however, for The World Ends With You, it's got a lot slower combat. You're like a lot more deliberate,
more methodical.
Yeah, so like, I don't really see how you could like portray the fastness of Neon White with like the more methodical fighting style of The World Ends With You. So like, that's kind of what
if you were to ask me how I would like look at this, it would be as a matchup. It probably wouldn't be one we do. But if somebody were to make a crossover, or like if Death Battle were to do it, I probably would be like, oh, okay, right. But if somebody were like, hey, I made a little crossover animation of these two characters in the same world, I'd be okay, that's more interesting. Like, it's definitely got like thematic crossover potential, but in terms of like a fight to the death or just a fight in general, it's kind of hard to see.
Yeah, like, that's kind of how I kind of like classify matchups at this point. Like, every time I see a matchup, I kind of think, what would I rather see this as? Would I rather see this as a death battle? Would I rather see this as a Nebula Theatre, like, that I would work on? Or would I rather see this just as, like, a general versus animation? There's also the other pile of just stuff for other versus shows, but that's not that important. But basically, for this, it's kind of falling into the category of just general versus animation, because, like, both just have matchups that, like, where their fighting styles just clash way better. And like, you can hit similar or even better thematics, and like they just have better fighting. They have opponents where their fighting styles are just like more meshable. But I do agree with you on the sense that like we shouldn't be like tied down to doing like any one specific matchup just because it's popular. Like, I think we should just be able to do any matchup we want if we feel passion for it.
Even if it's just a discussion is more so what I mean. Not even just like for the show, of course, we're gonna do certain matchups that make a lot more sense. That, you know, like if we have 4 animators on our team, that's like, I would be fucking killed to do this. Of course, I would be like, okay, that's a lot of people that want to do something, right? And even if it's popular or not popular, whatever. It's more so like, I don't think things deserve to just not even be discussed, because it's not the popular option, which is something I see a lot in this community. And it's just like, well, no, you can at least have a conversation, talk about the things you can do with certain things, even if they never become Nebula Theatre, Death Battle, or any of those other versus shows out there.
I always just say how I feel about the episode as a thing in existence before I do anything else, which is why I brought up V1 immediately. Because obviously, I think this is an interesting matchup, and I think that there are plenty of interesting matchups that are not, like, obviously the first choice, you know what I mean? Like, I think things like Goku versus Sonic are interesting. I think there's all sorts of different stuff like that. I want to see Mario fight Mega Man and all that kind of stuff. I think that sometimes there are just interesting questions to be asked that can just be fun dynamics. I guess my only point in bringing that up was to bring immediately to the surface, like, would this be good as an episode? I'm not necessarily sure. That being said, it's an interesting conversation to still have.
Yeah. My friend, who's not really in the Versus community, who just likes both games, had an idea for V1 versus Neon that he does like art, but again, not versus space, so it's not like it doesn't look like John Mitchell's or anything like that. But he does like random sketches of like certain storyboards, and he had a thing where they're like chasing each other through like the tops of buildings. Neon is a little ahead, and the guy fucking shatters a bunch of glass and fires a gun in the glass, and as the glass is shattering, he's like shattering the glass while the bullet's still traveling, and the bullet is like bouncing off all the shards while Neon's taking turns, and as he turns, another piece of glass gets shot out and the bullet's chasing him through the sky. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm a little sold on this.
Yeah, please, one please. Yes, yeah. Yes, waiter, one please, waiter.
All right. So that we will come back, not next week, but eventually we will come back for part 2. Alpha, do you want to throw your matchup on screen up here real quick?
I don't know how to throw it on screen.
If you have
do not share your screen, by the way. You might accidentally leak the fucking...
Yeah, okay. That's kind of my thing. I'm wrapping up a bunch of stuff right now.
Real quick, if you have the image file, just drag the file over the call, and it'll show up right here.
Drag the file over the call? Okay, hold on.
That's how I get the PowerPoint on here. You could just drag it.
You can do that. Shit, hold on. Let me try that. Okay, I downloading it again. I didn't know you could do that. That's fascinating. Let's see here. Did it actually work? Let's see. And I dragged it over the call. It did not, in fact, do that. I think you might be a witch or a wizard. I said upload to streaming. It's in the VC chat now.
Oh, I can open it there. Is there anything in the VC chat I should know about not being there before I open it right here?
It's just Zoro complaining about how long the
matches were going on.
Okay. I'll open the...
And me making jokes about us having no budget.
Yep.
How do I open up the messenger? Fight. Just explain what the matchup is.
Yeah, I'll just do it you guys can just stare at us. Hello, everyone. So, what I want to
you just have to look at our beautiful faces.
Beautiful. Hold on.
Beautiful, hot, sexy faces.
Stare.
Oh, are we gonna see? Hey, it's Alpha.
Oh my God, it's Alpha.
This is Death Battle Cast now. Yeah. All right, fuckers. So I want you to listen to me, and I want you to imagine something. Desmond Miles from Assassin's Creed versus Faith Connors from Mirror's Edge. Now, you might be wondering to yourself, why Desmond and Faith? Because either you know these characters and you're wondering what the hell I'm cooking, or you don't know these characters because they're from Assassin's Creed 3 and Mirror's Edge Catalyst, which are almost over a decade old. And my answer to you is, shut up for a second. Cole Alex made me sad, so let's do a better one. So, this is a very interesting idea. Faith Connors is a modern assassin legend. They are a runner, which they're not technically a killer, but let's be honest, it happens quite a lot. Faith is a parkour expert that works in a dystopian world against a force in order to basically deliver these packages as a runner, and gains a variety of weapons, armors, and skills, we'll say that much, in order to achieve this effect. And
Say that again.
Say that again. That's right. Anyway, joking aside. So basically, they have this wide variety of skills coming from parkour to hand-to-hand combat to this almost kind of flow state that they're able to tap into that allows them to do things that are kind of sort of completely impossible by average human beings. They are superhuman, and it's this very interesting kind of run and flow, and parkour mechanics and stuff came out around the same time as another popular parkour mechanic game, Assassin's Creed. Now, a lot of people might be wondering, hey, you're using Assassin's Creed, so why are you using the idiot from the modern era? Because a lot of people don't like Desmond. Desmond is not always the most popular character. Most people like his ancestors, Altair, or Ezio, or Connor. But the reason we're not using Ezio di Torre de Firenze is because this is a modern character in modern era. And by using Desmond, you can talk about all three assassins. Not only that, due to the bleeding effect, which is something that basically happens in Assassin's Creed, if you're not familiar, Desmond basically lives through all the lives of their ancestors. That is the main plot of Assassin's Creed 1 through 3, before some other shit that doesn't matter, nobody likes happens, where he basically gets put into this machine called the Animus that through the DNA allows him to relive the actions and memories of his ancestors. Is that how science works? No. Shut up, though. It's cool. Anyway, he basically lives through all three of these, and while he's in that machine, the Animus, he begins to become a part of the process known as the bleeding effect, which basically means that the stuff that he is doing inside of the machine, all of those things he's doing, whether it's like the body mechanics of it, like the instincts, the movements, the physical actions, kind of get put into his own body, and he thus becomes able to inhabit and exhibit those abilities. Not to the same extent as somebody like Ezio, however, with 3 lifetimes of some of the most master assassins, 4 if you want to add Hatham, but fuck Hatham, 3 as major assassins, right? He becomes extremely good and is able to, within a very short period of time, because the Assassin's Creed games don't actually take that long, like if in the grand scheme of things in a timeline, right? They do, obviously, they're over hundreds of years, but like the modern part of it doesn't really take that long. Becomes a master assassin. So the question becomes, can Desmond, having lived through all 3 different lives of his original ancestors and having this bleeding effect, and we do get to see him in action in modern day and stuff like that, can he take on something that is basically the rough equivalent of a modern version of one of his ancestors in the form of Faith Connors? Who wins? And that is my idea for that fight. But I'm more interested in this fight because I will admit, it's not the most popular. It's not the most interesting, but there's not a lot of good Assassin's Creed matchups because Ezio versus the Princess of Stomp, even though I love Ezio. I love Ezio. Ezio's great. Very big fan of Ezio. But, it's one of those things where I think this is a very realistic matchup for a series that otherwise won't be shown. And I think it taps into an era specific for the Versus community that is very important to it. Again, I go back to Cole Alex. I go back to the early 2010s. And I think it allows us as fans of those creators, of those old death battles, the TMT Battle Royale and all those other ones, the stuff that they were literally ranking earlier today on the cast, allows us to go back and allows us to give our tribute to that by using these characters that are important to that era, cover something that normally otherwise wouldn't be discussed, and create a really interesting fight that's all about parkour and hand-to-hand combat, which I adore immensely.
And you want to animate immensely?
Yeah, fucking give it to me, please.
Don't cut that clip out.
This is like the 3rd time you've talked about needing to animate something.
I need to continue to animate or I die. I'm like fucking Spoink. If I stop bouncing,
Oh man, he's dead.
It also just puts food on the
He's
table.
going off the rails.
Just generally.
puts food on. That also puts food on the table. Plime pays well. Thank you, Plime. Please give me more money.
So, I'm going to cut it off there. It's almost 5 o'clock. I want to go see my partner, who's been home for almost 3 hours
No, you're
now.
staying here until we talk about V1 versus Neon White.
And that's all the time we have for today.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for having me on after I ripped through the fucking walls like in 096.
He wasn't even in this server before this stream, mind you.
I saw fucking Spark and
in.
Lilac on the screen and I started fucking with
Just ripped his way in.
Just broke it.
Next,
you're a funny guy. We should have you on more streams.
In 2 weeks, there will be another stream. It will not be the part 2 of this. We will probably wait till next month to finish it because I kind of want to. I don't want to get stuck on this for a whole month. But we will come back probably in January for a part 2 of this where we'll go through the rest of the submissions and the rest of what we didn't talk about here.
You want to give the people a rundown on what might be coming up next?
The next week, usually I announce it on Discord, but I was gonna open the chat later today anyway, so
No, I meant like No. I meant like some of the other matchups they can look forward to next month.
Oh, Pepino versus Dynamite Anton.
Hey.
Asgore versus Hades from Hades. Neon White versus V1. Oh, we actually only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 left, actually. But still, it's okay. I'll add more to that.
We only have 7 left. That's only 3 more hours.
Bye.
Bye.